Take a look. It's February 24th, 2025. I am at Joel Pearl or at thejoelpearl.com on Blue Sky. It's time to get in the weeds. A manic Monday morning. We're starting late because all the conversations happen in the pre-production meetings, but I'm here. Jeremy's here. How you doing, Jeremy Lambert?
I'm well. How are you, Joel?
Oh, you know, just waiting for Thursday when Sean Ross Sapp touches down in Toronto and he challenges me for that Fightful Championship. 1,440 days I've been holding it. And let me tell you, he can't have it.
So you don't have the title. So
well, I don't physically have it, but I am still its champion.
Nah, debatable.
There's no debating it. No one else has held that title throughout the entirety of these last couple of years. 3 years? 4 years. That's it. I am the guy. But I feel like Sean won't even want me or this title. I think he might be after my soul.
How do you collect on one soul?
You ever seen that episode of The Simpsons?
Nope.
Where that's fair. Where Bart sells Milhouse his soul?
Nope.
He literally just writes it down on a piece of paper, Bart's soul, and he gives it to Milhouse. And Bart is soulless. Hell, Drew McIntyre made reference to it afterwards. That's how it works. Just, you know what? For everyone who's just like, oh, The Rock is talking about, the devil and Jesus and all this stuff, and he's making it's all biblical. Oh no, it's actually a callback to 1998 with him and the McMahons and the corporation. No. The Rock is just doing Bart's soul. Bart sells his soul. That's all it is. Cody's gonna write Cody's soul on a piece of paper and hand it to The Rock at Elimination Chamber in Toronto. And then when Cody wins back his soul in a non-wrestling match, Cody's going to take that piece of paper and eat it. And that's it. He will regain his soul. That's how it goes.
They should have a fiddle contest, right? I've been screaming from the hilltops that we need a fiddle contest. Now's their opportunity. The Rock said it himself. It doesn't have to end in a wrestling match. We don't have to go to a wrestling match. Some stories, they don't need to culminate there. It should culminate in a fiddle contest.
What if? Well, I mean, first of all, it makes sense because Cody is from Georgia. So this should be the ultimate culmination is, Cody in Georgia, The Rock comes to Cody's house. I think that's the way it should go. The Rock should visit Cody at his home in Atlanta and have a fiddle contest. And they'll do two-step. He's changing his internet, so I'm just filibustering for the next couple of minutes. Jeremy's fixing himself, as he always does. There you go. You're back.
Legend.
You're fixing your internet?
Yeah.
That's all good. Yeah. So yeah, The Rock's going to go to Atlanta. He's going to sit down in Cody Rhodes' living room, not on the bus. He's going to go to their house in Georgia and play the fiddle.
Brandy's not letting him in the house. Are you kidding me?
Well, why not?
What do you mean, why not? He said he wanted her husband's soul. You think Brandy's going to let him in the house?
Counterpoint. What if The Rock shows up with his daughter and says, I'm here for the play date? And then Brandy's like, what play date? And The Rock's like, our kids.
Who the hell told you tonight was open mic night, bitch?
I was waiting for that. Thank you. But this is the play dates. They're just two dads hanging out, two girl dads hanging out with their kids, having a wonderful time, enjoying girl dad life. At Cody's house.
Rock's not stepping foot in that house.
What if he gets invited in by someone else? I don't know, maybe Do they have someone who lives in like an au
QT
pair?
Marshall just like hanging out and is like, hey, come on, Rock, you can come on in.
Hey, I was expecting the Boom guys, but you're just as good, Rock. Come on in. You want to meet the Rizzler? Rock, you want to meet the Rizzler? Rizzler, Rock, Rizzler.
That might break the internet, honestly. The Rock and the Rizzler, kidding me?
Dude, there is a universe in which the Rizzler and the Rock have not only met but have talked about WrestleMania matches together.
Yeah.
Although, just don't let his hands near anything because he injures them real easily, according to Janela.
Yeah, brittle hands. Yeah, it happens.
My favorite part was when we dropped that article, people were like, that never happened. And Janela's like, yes, it did. Like, he had to refute his own comments. People are wild on the internet.
I love that Janela just says that stuff and you can't tell if this is like a bit or if it's truthful. Like there's enough information that you think it's truthful. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't Giancarlo be like the Rizzler's handler or something? Like, sure, this makes sense to me.
Someone in the back was just like, he's so tall, Rizzler's so short. They should absolutely hang out together. And then later on, they're like, let's take it one step further. Let's have Paul White escort him from the back out into the audience. Just how do we make it even more absurd?
Rules. Hope Joey's
yes.
doing well.
Yeah, I hope he's doing well. He's listen, he seems to be in good spirits. He's definitely keeping up on social media. He's absolutely enjoying what his girlfriend is doing over on AEW and beyond. So good for him. I hope he's happy. I hope everyone who gets to hang out with us is happy too. I got to hang out with our pal Cole Radrick last night.
That's unfortunate. Pal, your pal.
Yeah, he's our pal.
Your pal.
Why not your pal? You went all the way to his show.
Yeah, but because he wanted to put me through a table. I went there to support, and that was the way he wanted to repay me. So he's not my pal.
But he could be if you just go through the table.
No, not doing that.
We'll see what this summer brings. How about that? The weather will get nicer. The snow will melt. The flowers will bloom. The tables will grow. And through it, you will also go through a table.
No, thank you.
Tables grow out of the ground, right? This is like a vegetable.
Is that how it works?
I think that's how it works.
Tables are allegedly made from like wood and trees grow from the ground. So I guess in some ways, yes.
Yeah. And the metal can also, that's like fruit.
Can metal grow from the ground?
Why not?
Okay.
It's a thing. It's natural, I guess.
All
right. I'm fine with it. Yeah, we'll talk about Northern Crown in a second. But first, how about you leave a thumbs up on the video? Hey, let's get our pyro going on an early Monday morning. There it is. It's not that early. It's 10 a.m. here. Maybe you're watching on the West Coast and it's early. It's 7 o'clock. But go ahead, leave a thumbs up, and also subscribe to us here on the channel. Subscribe us to your ears. There you go. I fixed it. Fightful Overbook. That's the channel you want to support us. And of course, all the other Fightful stuff is fine. I've got some interview content coming to you all soon. Because like I said, I was at Northern Crown last night. What's Northern Crown? It's an indie here in Toronto. I talked about them last time. They were gracious enough to invite me back for their 5th show that they did I guess it was a couple months. This was back in November when they were running the last show. They had Josh Alexander dropping the Northern Crown Championship to Von Vertigo in a triple threat. Von, in the main event, took on Steve Macklin, aka Josh Alexander's best friend. It was actually a good match. It was a good, solid match. It was a good night of wrestling. Macklin lost, and he basically put over Von Vertigo as the next guy. And Vertigo, who also recently put out the news that he was given a visa to wrestle in the U.S. over WrestleMania week and beyond. So he's looking forward to making those treks across to the U.S. That's a big deal. A lot of Canadian wrestlers were also commenting and saying that's a big deal for a Canadian wrestler to receive a visa to go wrestle in the States. This was good news, and he's a great dude. So really, really fun match. And then the rest of the show, you know what? There was fun stuff. I got a shout out. Rest When Dead Clothing does a scramble match. They sponsor it, and you got to listen to these names, Jeremy. Okay, Bruce Thunderstein. Okay. When you think of that, what do you think he comes? What do you think he looks like?
I assume some type of like maybe Bruce Springsteen struck by lightning.
He comes out with a shake weight and a headpiece and he is mostly male pattern balding on top. And he's
So
wearing
is Richard
khakis.
Simmons?
No, because he's wearing khakis and he's wearing a blue polo shirt with his name on it, Bruce. And he's doing like a Simon Dean gimmick, but he's in his 40s, and it's hilarious. And he's just I can't even explain it, but he won the match, which makes this even better. This was a match that included Clutch Jesse V, who some people have seen around the indies. He's a big jacked up dude. Stratosphere, who's been around Toronto indies forever. Easy E Eric Carey. When you hear that name, what do you think of?
You say it Easy E Eric Carey?
Yeah.
I assume that's Eric Bischoff's illegitimate child.
You'd think so. Just a white guy with a beer gut doing the wrestles.
I'm looking at old Bruce Thunderstein here.
Yeah, you found a photo?
I'm on his Instagram.
Dude rules. Old man.
Why isn't he on our show?
Oh, he should absolutely be joining our show soon. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make this happen.
He's fantastic. Old Man Gloom Parkside, and then Channing Thomas, who's doing a world-class gimmick, as in a world-class championship wrestling gimmick. So an 80s superstar gimmick.
That's Channing Thomas's like whole gimmick period.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had Channing Thomas on Spotlight before. He's a good dude.
That's right. I forgot about that. But yeah, this was a good match. Bruce Thunderstein won. They had doors. They had they had the push pins and all that stuff.
Shake weights.
They had shake weights. The funniest thing, so the match opens with all 6 men in the ring, and Bruce is doing his talking to his, because the microphone he's wearing is actually live. It's not very loud, but like he's doing his talk and he's doing the shake weight the whole time. And then Jesse V, again, this big dude, had set up a door in the corner, shoves Bruce into the door, and that's how the match starts. And then Bruce is in the corner with like his arms out of the ring, still doing the shake weight while he's like laid out. And that's when I knew this man both has to win this match and should be on our show forever. He should be the third man on our show. He should do the weekend episodes. But it was fun. He's a great dude.
All right, get him on the show, Joel. Do
All
something.
right, I'll call him. And yeah, the Garbage Daddies, yeah, whatever. I contribute a plenty. I contribute plenty. Garbage Daddies, they won a match against Bang & Matthews. They did put the GCW tag titles on the line for this one. So it was good to see another international title defense for our pals, the Garbage Daddies. And
your pal. I like Alec Price.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why do you like Alec Price and not Cole Radrick? What's wrong with you? You should like them both. They're a tag team.
No. I don't have to like both people on a tag team. I suspect most people watching this show dislike one of us and like one of us.
I feel like they like all of us. Anyway, the show will be out eventually. That's not all the matches, but just some stuff that I needed to talk about, because A, you either know these people from our show, or B, you need to hear about the insanity of Bruce Thunderstein. You need to look this dude up. He is just fantastic. He is, you know what? Just go find him. It was really fun. But yeah, shout out to Northern Crown. They had a good night of wrestling. It was a solid show. And I got to talk to Steve Macklin for a bit. That interview is going to drop in just a little while over on Fightfuls. Keep your eyes peeled. Jeremy hasn't seen it, so clearly he's going to love it.
Sure.
We did do partner promo punch in the face, though.
Oh, really?
Yes, we did.
With
because we used both of our gimmicks for this one.
Oh.
We did the we had him try to bury AJ Francis, because that's what you do when you got this show. Yeah. And then we did partner promo punch in the face. Should I give it away? The three names?
You can give away the 3 names. Don't give away the answers.
That's true. Eric Young, AJ Francis, and Casey Navarro.
No, okay.
Because you want to punch all 3 of those men in the face. Now you got to pick one to actually talk to and one to actually tag team with.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll let y'all figure it out. So there you go. Matthew Hooks is absolutely wrong about his assessment of what is going on. Yeah, you suck. But yeah, shout out Northern Crown. That was a good time. Allegedly, we're going to be joined in about an hour and a bit by a guest. We're hoping that we're going to be joined by Dijak. That's right, that dude. And I had mostly forgotten about this up until we got started this morning. That's why we were late this morning, is because Jeremy reminded me. Dijak, 11:30. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what we'll talk about, but here we are. This time I was wrong. This time I will take the L. But we're looking forward to Dijak. We got questions.
We don't know what we're going to talk about. There's plenty to talk about with a Dijak. I'm going to yell at him because, the first interview he did after leaving WWE, which was with Fightful, was with Sean.
Right. Yep.
And the cat is going crazy over here.
That does not like Dijak.
Just scurried in here. So the first interview he did was with Sean. And, he's telling this long story, just going on and 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 on. And he's like, oh, sorry to make such a long story. And Sean says, oh, who cares? My transcriptionist will handle all the work. And who's the transcriptionist, Joel? So I got heat with Dijak for talking too damn much. Everyone talks too damn much. I'm going to ask him. My first question to him is going to be, can you keep every answer under a minute and see what happens?
You're about to find yourself in transcription hell, my friend. This interview is going to turn into an hour-long he's going to start busting out $10 words and you're going to be stuck with a dictionary in your hand all afternoon.
I don't care. I don't have to what's the word I'm looking for? I don't have to define the words. I just got to write the words.
Yeah, but you got to know how to spell them correctly. Dictionaries can do that.
Google. I don't need a dictionary for that.
Oh, Google once in a while will get it wrong. They'll give you the wrong spelling.
You think Dijak knows any big words? That'll be a question we can ask him. Dijak does so many interviews. Like, they just give us some questions, chat. Dijak does a ton of interviews. I don't want to repeat like a bunch of information. So throw some questions out there, and I'll make sure we have a fun, different kind of interview with Dijak instead of the usual, oh, when are you going to go to TNA? When are you going to go to AEW? You got any interest in these companies? What about Retribution? How
about a better idea? What if Dijak interviews us? Since everyone else wants to talk to him, and here we are being like, we've heard him talk. What if he talks to us? What if he interviews us for a change? You think he'd do that? You think MLW would like that? I think they'd laugh, but here I am.
MLW likes us. They're fun.
Oh, of course. It's a lot of fun because we like talking with them. We like talking with the talent when they sign. We like talking with their talent going into events. We always have a good time. MLW talent for some reason they're different, which I appreciate.
We'll try to have some fun questions for Dijak because he does so many interviews and gets asked so many of the same questions.
Oh, this is one we should be asking. Dijak is a big man. We should be asking him if he would escort the Rizzler to the timekeeper area.
Yeah.
His favorite wrestling moves from A to Z. No, Jules, we won't ask him why I'm wrong about everything because I'm right about everything. Has he tried any of Baron Corbin's grilling?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Which media member would he like to punch? There's a lot of really good ones.
Heat with a bunch of people in the media,
which is weird because he's not a bad guy. Here, this is my favorite. If Dijak had Cody Storm, what would he do with it?
The one wrestling question I care to ask him is hey, you won NXT Match of the Year, and
then everyone got released.
Yeah, and you were not re-signed, and they still gave you Match of the Year. What are you thinking when you see you win Match of the Year and you're not with the company?
I like that. Grace is saying do partner promo punch in the face, but it's all media members.
It's a good one, actually.
Who would I even use for that?
Santi Zap.
Yeah, I was gonna say Santi Zap for sure. Sean.
You can use and
Denise. Has he done anything with Denise?
Let me see who he's kind of ratioed and stuff. Let's see.
Oh, has he done Muscle Man? Has he done Malcolm?
I don't know. I'm looking. I'm stalking, researching, however you want to call it.
Doing this on the show. This is how we do our best work.
Keith Lee is the other option.
Oh, that would turn out poorly. David
it's not the wrestler Keith Lee. It's the social media
tour.
person.
Yes. The food critic.
I guess. I don't know what he is, man. It
I
just
think,
pops up on my timeline. I was like, who is this dude? And
pretty
his
sure he's a
name's
food
Keith
critic.
Lee.
Pretty sure
Okay.
he's a food critic. Yeah.
All right. I think there's like a rapper named Keith Lee. Like,
Really?
I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Take your word for it.
I could be completely wrong. Don't take my word for it. That sounds stupid. Don't do that.
So who else could he ratio successfully from our media?
I haven't seen him do. We should just do Denise. That's fine. Everyone knows Denise. Everyone likes Denise.
All right, that's fine. There you go. I had to remember how to spell her last name. She hasn't done stuff on our channel for so long that I just don't have her in the back of my head as much.
Yeah, she's been persona non grata. She's been cut out from all Fightful material. We put a Dallas Mavericks logo over her on all videos since she's left the company.
The very SP3 cut right there. Never have I
Really?
ever in the Weeds edition. We're just gonna rip off all of Denise's stuff while we're here.
I guess the other partner promo punch in the face could be Keith Lee, Mason, and Mansoor.
Keith Lee, and Keith Lee. Which one will you partner promo punch in the face? These are 3 different Keith Lees, so pick sparingly.
Nah.
Oh, we'll see. There we go. Interview prep is done. We have an hour until he's scheduled to arrive. All right. Where do we want to start? Let's
Soul, Joel. Soul.
Let's face facts. SmackDown was not good on Friday.
That show sucked.
It was not a good episode. I did not make it through the entire show. I got to the Rock promo, watched the 30 minutes, and said, all right, now I'm going to bed, and I can't even do my bit where I'm like, oh, this person's coming to the ring, which is weird because the show's over. Good night. See you in the morning. Because I was like, oh, that Rock Cody promo should have ended SmackDown, and in my mind it just did, and it was not a good episode at all. The Rock was announced as coming to SmackDown on Friday, or on Thursday night, I should say. Rock was announced to come out on Thursday night, and then he showed up Friday for SmackDown, drove up in his big old truck, swerving all over the place, and calls out Cody Rhodes. And it takes about 30 minutes to explain that he doesn't want a match with Cody. He doesn't want the title from Cody. He wants Cody's soul.
Well, he wants Cody to be his champion.
Yeah, but like he also wanted the soul of Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
The physical soul. Because you know why he wants the soul? Because it's in the lyrics of the song.
There's a lot of adrenaline. Yeah.
Yeah,
The Rock's like, this Zoa is not working anymore. I got to get Cody's soul where the real adrenaline is.
That's right. So he knew that if he goes for the adrenaline in Cody's soul, Rocky Johnson survives another one.
What if that's how Zoa is made, from the adrenaline in Cody's soul?
And they're running low, or what's the plan here?
Yeah, they're running low on the Zoa. They're running out of adrenaline, so he needs Cody's soul.
But they signed like a 3-year deal to bring that soul for the Zoa?
Could be. It could be a partnership, yeah. Could be a partnership with Zoa, or Cody gets his own like Zoa flavor. American Nightmare Fuel.
Didn't they already do that with the Prime thing though?
I don't remember.
They gave him
a one-off thing.
They gave him a flavor, but I mean, the Prime stuff is done. I'm just waiting for Zoa one day to be one of the sponsors on WWE canvases. Elimination Chamber. It's going to be like Zoa is going to be on the ring mat because Rock's going to be there. You just know it. They're going to roll out the Zoa carpet for Rock.
I feel like Mana's got a better shot at it than Zoa. Maybe Papa Tui.
Which one was that again? Papa Tui
was like the products, like the men's care products.
Oh yeah. Different from Papa Shango.
He steals souls. Rock might be able to like converse with Papa Shango and to get tips on how to take some souls.
I'm a big fan of Ken Bruno bringing us the Elimination Chamber. I felt weird being like, oh, so is The Rock going to take a bunch of shots of his drink and then pull up, in his truck? And then I see him pull up in his truck. I'm like, oh, he's already been drinking. And then he does that 30-minute promo, and I'm like, oh, he's definitely been drinking. What were we doing? What was this promo? It was an attempt at Rock. So he comes out, and first of all, the amount of people who got really confused about, Lil Wayne and using The Block is Hot for whatever remix into his theme that was funny enough. And then he comes out and he's like, WrestleMania New Orleans and big pyro and ballyhoo, and everyone's excited.
So much pyro rolled.
It was the Jimmy Jacobs pyro treatment. So they do the announcement, WrestleMania 42. It's going to be next year in New Orleans. Earlier next year. It's going to be April 11th, 12th. So that's good. And then he calls out Cody Rhodes, and they talk about nothing for the entirety of that promo, including the part where he gets to the Apex Summit. He's talking about, you're my champion, you're so great, our moms are friends, and then he proceeds to tell you that they became friends at WrestleMania when The Rock was whipping their son. Like, what are we doing? I don't hate the moms are friends now, but I do not like the idea of showing the photo and being like, at the apex of our hatred for each other, our moms became friends. If you had told me like, oh, they became friends at like SummerSlam or whatever, like a Bad Blood, they saw each other, blah, blah, blah. If you had done that, I probably would have just let it go. But it's the fact that he brings up that it was at WrestleMania that they were friends and taking photos. I was like, your sons hated each other. And maybe you can be like, oh, boys will be boys. They're just fighting. They'll get over it and they'll be friends again. Yeah. Henry said,
Cody had to call his mom, like, Mama Rhodes, Rock's being mean to me. Can you talk to his mom so we can settle this? Like little middle schoolers, you have to call each other's moms so you could be friends and sit at the same lunch table again.
It was so weird. It's like, Cody, you and Dwayne need to get along. Dwayne, you and Cody should be friends. You both have a lot of interests. You both like wrestling. You both have girls. You do it for your daughters. I don't know why she's suddenly from New York, but I don't understand why this went that way. I don't understand why this promo needed to include the moms at WrestleMania. Very strange. And
I hope the moms like took him by the ear, just like dragged him in there. He's like, now you two make up here. Next night on Raw, you two come out there. You be friends again. You give it back the gift. I love that he posted this Rolex on Twitter before the show and like never mentioned this thing once during the promo. It's like, this was the gift Cody gave me. And that was it. He already kind of broke things when he said on Twitter before the show, he's like, this is the gift Cody gave me before WrestleMania. So Cody's just out here handing out Rolex gifts before WrestleMania. I'm like, all right, we're going to have a good match. Like, they just immediately broke things right then and there. All it did was further that by saying, yeah, our mom's made up at WrestleMania. They're explicitly saying, hey, guys, what you saw at WrestleMania, that's just a show. Don't worry about it, everybody. That's just a show that we put on for everybody. And before the match, they were all good friends. And they got each other gifts. They got each other Rolexes. They got each other mana. Roman got everybody an advanced copy of WWE 2K. Seth got everybody, stylist tips, like salon appointments. Everybody got each other. And then they went out there and they had a great wrestling match. It was really fun. And they stood tall, and the Rock's doing the one and the cutthroat and the one and all this. And he's holding the belt up. And then they go the next night and they do all that with a Marvel Avengers ending. But when they came to the back, more mana, more the drinks were flowing. Cody had the Wheatley, he drinks it neatly. Everything was good. It was all good. And the moms, they made and they hugged and they kissed and they took photos together and it was great. And then they came to the Moana 2 premiere and everything was fine. It was all great. It's all a show, everybody. That wrestling match is all a show. That's all they did.
They basically told you, please bow for us. This chapter is complete. You got Paul Heyman being like, we're in the bottom of the third. And then They're just like, the hell we are. WrestleMania 40, we're done. Please bow as we leave the ring. There was always, again, I go back to this one Reddit post that I can't find anymore. And I know it existed because I found it twice. And it was someone asked, how would you book the end of wrestling? Like the end of all wrestling forever. And it ended with like Kevin Nash and like Hulk Hogan leaving the ring. It was a whole thing. They wrote out a whole ass thing, and I can't find it, but I know it exists. But they wrote, what is the ending of wrestling? This was like 5-10 years ago. And to this day, whatever that was, it was the most over-the-top perfect ending to wrestling. And it was better than what WrestleMania 40 was. I'm telling you, could have done it again. But also fuck Hulk Hogan, so it would have been someone else. Nash and like, I don't know, Triple H, because at this point, let's face it.
The end of wrestling, it ends with Triple H just coming out taking a bow. He doesn't want to be there. He gets dragged out there. All of it, Shawn, Kevin Nash, Waltman, Road Dogg, Stephanie. They all got to like drag him out there. Come on, Triple H, come out. And he's like, oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Does a bow. And Stephanie's like, give it up. Get a Triple H chant. Triple H, Triple H, Triple H. And he's like, oh no, sorry. Oh, thank you. He does the Hunter Hearst Helmsley curtsy bow that he used to do. And that's how wrestling ends. That's it. Triple H takes his bow against his will, but he takes his bow.
What does he leave in the ring to symbolize that this is the end of professional wrestling?
Nothing.
Okay.
No.
Because I mean, normally when a wrestler is done, they leave their boots in the ring, right?
Yeah.
So what is there a symbolic end to this? Does he take a pencil from behind his ear or his cheater glasses and he just puts them down on the ring?
The glasses would actually be good.
The glasses would be perfect. And he just puts them down and then the spotlight shines on the stupid ring with a pair of glasses right there.
Yeah. I like the glasses. So that's good.
But then he's got to get another pair of cheaters for the post-show press conference where he talks about the end of wrestling. We had a great show tonight. We just want to let everyone know I got to get a new pair of cheaters. I left the other ones in the ring. Can you guys wait like 20 minutes while I go get the other ones? Everyone, hey, everyone left the place yet? All right, I'm going to go get my cheaters. So what are we supposed to make of this Rock stuff? He does the press conference afterwards, which I know you watched and covered, and he effectively said, what
hell yeah.
It's so funny that he's like, what if we could have a match or build to a match, but that's not a match?
Yeah.
Like,
they're building towards a fiddle contest. He wants his soul. They're gonna do a fiddle contest.
How out of your mind do you have to be? Like, okay. Now, there's part of me that as I'm thinking about some of this stuff, I'm like, what does he mean? What's he really trying to say? Maybe he just doesn't know how to articulate himself because he spent 30 minutes talking in circles on Friday. So plus another hour after the show. What's Rock maybe trying to say? And by the way, like for everyone who's like the press conference sucked, that when they announced they were doing one, I was like, who the hell is going to be there? Like the New Orleans Times, like it was going to be local media and like
local.
Yeah, that was it. I wasn't expecting anything mind blowing. It was just going to be people being like, how excited are you from New Orleans to host WrestleMania?
They asked some decent questions based on the limited prep time and like the subject they were going to talk about. It was going to be Rock WrestleMania announcement specific. But I thought they asked good questions, and I thought The Rock actually gave, whether you like the answers or not, I thought they actually gave good answers. Him saying, yeah, we're not building towards a match ruled. I love that he told the Pride story again. That's one of my favorite Rock stories is like, oh, I was thinking about going to Pride in 1996. Like, Pride wasn't existing in 1996. And if it was, they were making like $5 for a fight. You weren't going to Pride, dude.
But he only needed 7 to get by. So what are we doing?
Well, he would have been short $2.
He would have been the highest paid Pride fighter on the roster.
Pops me so much. He's like, in 1996, I was thinking about joining Pride. Pride did not open until 1997. Fantastic.
But there must have been talks about its existence in 96, right?
I mean, maybe, but he wasn't thinking about all of that.
It's like Global Force, right? They spend so much time announcing roster members and being like, this is happening and this is happening. We're going to tape all this stuff, but it takes a year to tape it. Well, maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was being courted.
It's like the Undertaker. Like if I had an amateur wrestling background, I would have gone to UFC in the mid 90s as well. It's like, well, you didn't have an amateur wrestling background. You had bad knees from basketball and you weren't even close to being in the UFC.
If I had $1 million, I wouldn't be doing this show. Like, what are we doing here?
The Rock, I need a shoot fight between The Rock and The Undertaker. That would rule.
I wonder if there's one day a story is going to come out that those two have thrown hands just once. In a backstage wrestling capacity. It's always the scrappers that you hear about. It's always the Eddie Guerreros, God bless, and the Chris Jerichos. It's always those guys. It's never the big dudes who like have problems and solve them with their fists. One of these days they'll do it. So Rock doesn't want to do a match, or at least this was the Rock's way of saying, I'm not fighting at WrestleMania. Please stop thinking I'm going to wrestle at WrestleMania. This is all going to be me by proxy. And like, I know people have drawn the parallels to 1998 and everything that happened with the corporation. And, you know, when the McMahons were getting Rock, it's in the thumbnail. Like it's in the, you know, it's blurred out, like blurry in the thumbnail because it's, you know, back in the past. And there's absolutely overtures there of that time in the Rock's life, and it's full circle and all that. So like, the one thing is that Vince and Austin went at it. The Rock never really had a match with Vince McMahon, right? I'm trying to rack my brain.
He joined with
They
Vince.
worked together. I know he worked with Vince.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a whole thing. Like I had it in my head. I was like, where this makes sense, because I know people fought Vince. Vince ended up getting in the ring and doing the matches. And Shane inevitably did as well. But there was something that I was like, oh, I get what he's trying to do, but now it just escapes me. I should have written it down. But there was a little part of me that was like, I see what he's going for, but he's just not getting there in a very good way. It's just not making as much sense. So I'm just, I'm curious as to what he thinks this is, other than this is the Rock's way of saying, I'm not wrestling. This is what the story is going to be. Someone else will be my proxy. Which is wild because he just wrestled last year.
Yeah, but there might be, because he's filming a bunch of stuff now, so there might be some clauses in those contracts of no physicality type of thing, because they got to protect the investment of the films to where he can't do an actual match, and that's why he wants a champion. Here's the thing. I think there is a good promo and a good story buried in this 30 minutes of talking in circles and completely undercutting everything they did last year at WrestleMania. I truly believe that. I truly think there is a good story here. If they had come out, one, they undercut a lot of it at the Raw on Netflix when it's like, oh, Cody's been carrying the company. They could have saved that, though. I agree with you that the whole, hey, here's our moms at WrestleMania, I think is like, really, what are we doing here? You could have made the plot of after WrestleMania when Rock gives him his gift back and it was the Rolex and they did that whole ordeal. Rock could have played off of that. Said, hey, remember that gift I gave you back after Raw After Mania, said our story wasn't finished? That was the Rolex. That was the Rolex you gave everybody before the match, which again is so stupid to peel the curtain back like that. But I'm trying to make sense of a story that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So apologies, or just bear with me here, folks. But they could have brought that up, and Rock could have said, I gave you that back because I didn't want your gift before the match. I knew what you were trying to do with that whole thing. I didn't want your gift, which he didn't have to explain any of that. Who knows what the hell Cody was trying to do? It was a gift before a match. He could have done it after the match, but like, I didn't want your gift for the match. I was out there to whoop your ass that night. And that's what I did. I whooped your ass. But you know what? The next night you showed you deserve to be a champion. You defeated Roman Reigns. You defeated my cousin, Roman Reigns. You took out the bloodline. You proved you were the champion. And that's why I praised you at Raw on Netflix. Because for a year after that, you continued to prove that you were the champion. And that's why I'm here today. And then he makes the big offer. and everything. And maybe then he says, like, now I'll accept your gift of this Rolex or whatever, however you need to tie this all together. But there could have been a way to tie all of this together. They just did it in a terrible way where it made no sense.
So from here, again, the reporting from Fightful Select was very much that like this came together at the last minute. There was always a feeling that Rock could show up at any time and throw things into disarray, which is what happened. And it felt like some stuff was thrown at the wall to make sense of whatever they could ahead of SmackDown. And then stuff got jumbled up and they did this 30-minute segment. Now the onus is going to be on the writers to clean up whatever that was.
No, it's not.
Well, what do you think? The Rock's going to be like, no, what you're going to do is we're going to not build to a match. And they're going to be like, okay, what does that look like? They're like, well, you don't build to a match. Be like, well, what does that look like? And The Rock will be like, okay, picture it. There's a match, but there is no match. And then the writers just throw their hands up and say, I quit.
It's not on the onus of the writers, though, because they don't know what's going on with The Rock. The Rock's just going to show up when he wants. They can write whatever they want to write, but 2 seconds before The Rock goes out there, he ain't following no script. He's going to say what he wants. So no, it's not on the writers, because I actually believe that they might be able to come up with something. But I don't believe that The Rock is going to follow any of that. The Rock's just going to say what he wants to say.
I think my favorite part of all this when we're talking about the writers was that we know who wrote the segment, or at least who was involved producing the segment and writing the segment. And it was the guy who typically writes for Cody. And then in Sean's report, it's like, that doesn't mean that he was, giving the Rock lines or anything like that. I can just see this guy being like, okay, Cody, here's what you're going to say. And Cody said like nothing during those 30 minutes.
Yeah, Cody was confused as shit too.
Which is my favorite part of like, there was a writer assigned to this. And the writer just put ... Rock says something. ... Rock says something. ... Because there's nothing but reaction and Cody being like, I'm their champion. That's all that Cody really got to say out of all of this. And then, like you said, look confused and like this open mouth, like depressed look on his face of like, oh shit, here we go again. It was almost like
Cody just gets PTSD when he sees The Rock on SmackDown in February. He's like, oh fuck this guy. Here comes this guy. Just whatever I had planned for WrestleMania, this dude's just gonna come in here and aim for the bushes and hopes he connects.
He's working on like the Rhodes family tree so that he could do a big presentation at the World at WWE and be like, here's the Rhodeses. And it's like 4 people on the tree. Meanwhile, The Rock has his fucking giant forest of names and he's trying to put something together. I feel bad for Cody in this segment because he's just standing there awkwardly trying to act through it. And Rock is just talking. So if we clean this up a bit, a lot of minds out there have put this out, and I was thinking of it too. A proxy is certainly the answer. Cody doesn't take the deal. Somebody else does. Other people who are on that list include CM Punk, John Cena, Drew McIntyre. I think those are 3 very viable candidates. When it comes to picking one of the 3, I think Punk is the perfect candidate because it's a totally fresh look for him as, quote, corporate guy. And we haven't seen corporate man Punk in that sort of presentation role. And I think that'd be interesting for him at this point in his life with everything he's done. And it gives the audience full reign to boo him instead of leaning on all these stories with Punk where it's nothing but shades of gray. However, on the Drew McIntyre side of things, Drew could use something because he's clearly rudderless going into WrestleMania. There's not much going on other than maybe a Damian Priest match, but that's not great in my opinion. It's a specialty singles match with no stakes. No disrespect to Damian Priest. It's just you would expect Drew to have more. There was a story there with The Rock with the whole re-signing and gifting him the sword and all that stuff. You could do that. And of course, the most curious case is John Cena. If he wins the Chamber, goes on to WrestleMania, this is an opportunity to pair up The Rock and John Cena in the weirdest heeled corporate partnership of all time. And Cody's got to fight these guys. So your thoughts, those 3 names and the way that could all play out or not happen.
I don't know if Cena is going to do it because I truly think they want this whole farewell run for Cena to be everyone be happy and we love John Cena. This is your last chance to see him type of thing. They care more about patting themselves on the back than they do to tell a long-term story with John Cena. At least in my mind. I think they care more about that. And they care, it seems like they care more about that in some other stories as well, if I'm being honest. So I don't think it's going to be John Cena. I think it looks good, sounds good. Just don't think it's going to be him. Punk is the most interesting case because it would be a character for him to sink into that isn't what he's been since returning, which is you've been gone and you buried the company for the entire time you were gone. And isn't it great to be alive in your town here? So Punk would definitely be interesting, and he can carry a lot of promo stuff without The Rock, because I'm going to assume The Rock ain't showing up to television more than once every 3 months. Maybe he does his little Instagram videos and things like that, but I don't think he's showing up that often. Punk can certainly carry things. Drew is probably the easiest transition because he's already kind of that guy. And now you just put a bigger, I'll say, target on him of now he's really leaning into, yeah, he's the corporate chosen one. So Drew would make a lot of sense from that aspect. I'm going to throw a couple more names out. One is Roman, because Rock talked about, I need a brother. Like, well, what about like your literal bloodline out here? Why would that be the guy you would pick? Why wouldn't it be the guy who, yeah, Cody, sure, he carried the company for the last year. How long's Roman been carrying the company? Roman's been carrying the company for the last 5 years at the minimum. And if you want to go back to the babyface run, it's even further than that. So why wouldn't Roman be that guy? Maybe Roman doesn't need to be just the corporate kind of champion, because when he is the champion, he already feels like the corporate champion. He's already the head of the table. So he doesn't necessarily need that kind of character to go with what he does. The other one's Seth. I know we've done Seth with the Authority, and that was at a time when Seth was maybe his most interesting. Certainly it helped elevate him to a different level. This version of Seth Rollins being the guy who once again sells out or buys in, but on a bigger level, because now we're talking about The Rock and TKO, and Seth has grown so much as a performer and as a character over the last decade. I think there could be a story there with Seth, especially if he has the gripe, rightfully so. Like, I come back, everything I've done for this company, you know, he gets labeled a bootlicker all the time. Everything I've done for this company, and yet they see Cody as the guy. He gets the WrestleMania main events. You know, who was picked to face Cody in his first match? CM Punk comes back. Oh, let's put Punk on this pedestal. When he'd spend all this time trying to bury the company. John Cena gets his farewell run. Oh, let's Cena. Where's Cena been the last 5 years? He's been off shooting movies. I'm not going to do that. Seth has even said this. He's like, I'm Hollywood. If it comes calling, fine. But that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in wrestling. I want to continue to wrestle. I think there's a story there with Seth. So those are the other two names that are possibilities.
The only reason I'm apprehensive about Seth is because we've done this before. He's done corporate.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So I don't know if that's something you want to go back to, or if that's something that is worth rehashing. But otherwise, I mean, the other names you're mentioning, yeah, they make sense. So Ryan being like Jey Uso, that's, again, you want to talk bloodline, you want to talk someone on the ascent, you'd be really changing up Jey Uso to try and make that work. Because right now, Jey is he's just not that guy. You can argue Seth Rollins wasn't that guy either when he made the turn, you know, back in 2015. But yeah.
Nah, Jay, you can't undercut Jay's popularity by doing this. That would be a mistake.
Fair. Yep. David LaGreca is stealing your bits.
What?
I'm assuming he's doing the show right now. And he's tweeting at The Rock saying, give me an interview.
Oh,
Give me 5 minutes of your time. He's stealing your bit. We do this on the air on our show. What are we doing?
That's fine.
Call it David LaGreca. Give him 5 minutes on our show. Talk about why he's stealing our bits. Oh, God. Everyone go to that tweet right now and say, why are you stealing Jeremy's bits? No, don't do it. You don't have to do it. The thing with Punk, going back to him as a potential guy to take up the offer, is everything that we talked about with, Money in the Bank and Chicago and turning that segment on its head, where Cena and Punk have the moment, they do it again in Cena's retirement year or his last year of active competition year. You do Punk turning heel, Punk wins the title, Punk's the corporate guy, but now you can either do Cena runs through the crowd with the title, wins it at Money in the Bank or whatever, a big show in Chicago where they try to do that on its head. Now we're doing Cena and Punk, by the way. That's where I'm at, is if Punk turns, we turn to Cena and Punk. And that's one thing that I was looking at, is you can tell the story of Money in the Bank 2011 as one of the pivotal chapters in John Cena and CM Punk's careers, and just kind of play that back as one of the options for just a different presentation of CM Punk, which I would like. I'd like to see Punk do this, like commit to this, be a bad guy. And I was listening to Phil on Grapsity talking about it, and the idea that like Punk and Cody have a good amount of history without ever facing off. So I'm going to cough for a second. Something inside of me, not adrenaline.
Your soul is going to come out of you.
My soul's coming out. So the idea of Punk and Cody went off and became the Revolution. He went off and he went to multiple companies, became a world champion, made a name for himself, got himself over, started AEW with his friends, he made it into the number 2 company, and then come back to WWE and was the top guy immediately. Punk didn't get that. Punk left WWE, went out for 10 years, tried UFC, failed. Came back to did the boxing, not boxing, sorry, did the other MMA commentary gig, and like was okay with it, but it wasn't like top tier, anything like that. He tried to do his own stuff. Then he came back to WWE after a failed AEW attempt. He literally went to the place that Cody started and couldn't get himself, couldn't get himself to the point where he could stick around and be the guy. For whatever reasons, you can get into that in the storytelling. It doesn't matter. Lawsuits be damned. But then he comes back to WWE, and he's got a chip on his shoulder and a point to prove. And the guy he's got to prove it to is the guy who literally went out and came back and became the guy. Then they've had a couple of confrontations on WWE programming, and then we are where we are. There's a story there as well. Punk has had interactions with all of these people. He hates The Rock. The enemy of my enemy is also my friend. They can go back to that WrestleMania 29, that whole build. And, you cared about Cena more than you cared about, me having my time, blah, blah, blah. I was the champion. Now I'm your champion. There's a lot you can draw from in that case. Punk is the best option to me to do. I agree Drew's the easiest, and you could build from there, but I feel like Punk just makes sense. And then he gets his main event. And what's the favor? That's the problem. What happens to the favor with CM Punk and Paul Heyman? Doesn't have to be a WrestleMania main event. We've all just assumed it was, but now it could be something else later on down the line. When Roman comes back and challenges for the title, he says, "You help me retain it. That's the favor. You join me." Maybe that's where we're going.
Here's why all this is dumb, Joel.
Because they don't know what they're doing yet.
Because The Rock, after Elimination Chamber, is going to go film some movie, and it's not going to be this big thing. It is because they've made it a big thing, but I don't think they have an idea of what they're doing. And I'm not necessarily saying it's their fault. because The Rock seemed to come in last minute to do what he did on Friday. It feels like they're going to have to pivot around a lot of things. And I don't know if they actually got a plan on what to pivot to. Maybe they do. Maybe they figured it out. Maybe that's how they spent their entire weekend, is they had to figure out how they were going to pivot around all of this. Maybe Cody will be the corporate champion. Maybe he dyes his hair black. Is, that's what he did for that one time. That was to signify his heel turn, because he was like Superman returning and nobody understood the bit. So Cody had to do an interview so everybody would understand the bit.
Giant dork.
Maybe Cody ends up being the corporate champion here. I will say that whoever they go with in this spot, if anybody, I could very easily Cody just saying, no, not going to do it. And The Rock just being like, all right, guess I'll go film Jumanji 18 now. And that's it. And they just move on from this whole thing.
What's Jack Black up to? You want to be my champion, Jack Black?
It could literally, you know how they're going to like end this whole thing. You know how it's all going to end? Elimination Chamber. Cody's going to be like, I can't do it. I can't sell my soul to be your champion. I can't do it. And The Rock's going to be like, okay, you're going to regret that choice. And The Rock's going to walk away. And that's going to be the end of it. They're going to go nowhere after that. It's just going to be, you're going to regret that choice. And it's going to leave it open-ended enough to where if something happens, the people can just be like, see, this is what he meant by Cody was going to regret the choice. And maybe a year from now, they follow up on it. But they're going to leave it so open-ended to where it doesn't interfere with whatever else they allegedly have planned. And that's going to be the end of this whole 2-week thing. It's like, you're going to regret that choice. And then, then we're done.
What's funny is that after all this, people are going to be like, oh, the 3, 2, 1. He meant a triple threat on night 2 of WrestleMania with one corporate champion, and it belongs to The Rock. And everyone's going to be like, whoa, the layers. And yeah, just like him showing up on the 3rd week of the 2nd month. What are we doing?
February 21st, 2 + 1 is 3, Joel.
2 + 1 is 3. I love that people are learning math while talking about how The Rock showed up. It's God. We have a bunch of super chats. I want to get to them because y'all have been fantastic this morning. Meet Normus kicked us off saying, "Morning, bros. I thought you had to pay the troll toll if you want the boy's soul. Meet forever, partners. Meet forever to you, my friend."
Meet forever, meet Normus.
Oh my God. Everyone's out here trying to get the troll toll. Hey, shout out to Chris. Chris got the All About Soul reference in the thumbnail. That was actually for you, Chris. I knew you would figure it out. It's a Billy Joel song from the River of Dreams album. Doesn't Dwayne know he has to pay the troll toll if he wants the boy's soul? See, everyone knows.
We had fun at the Monster Jam yesterday, Chris. That looked like a lot of fun. I've been to Monster Jam forever. Used to love going as a kid.
I've never been to a Monster Jam. They've come up north a few times, but I've never like. Time. Yeah, is it?
Yeah. So we went to. I used to go all the time with my dad, and like Virginia, the arena, like it was a pretty big like arena. So they carved out a lot of space for it. So they do all types of like cool stuff. They would do the I don't know what they call it, the stunt show type of stuff. I guess they call it just like freestyle, and that way you could just do whatever you want. So it was a lot of fun going to Virginia. And then I went one time in North Carolina, much smaller arena. And literally it was just like you jumped over like a row of cars and that was it. We walked out in the middle of it because we were like, nah, this kind of sucks. Like we're used to seeing them do like backflips and, you know, the 360s where they're getting the truck on the side and everything. This little one little jump, that don't do it for us. So yeah, we left in the middle of it. That was probably the last time I went. It was when I left in the middle of it.
They used to do it at the Rogers Center here, where Elimination Chamber is happening, the Sky Dome, and those would be big enough to be a big enough place for these monster trucks to work. I think they've done it at Scotiabank Arena too, but I've never been. So maybe one day I'll go. I feel like it'd be very loud.
Oh, it is. It's definitely very loud. Yeah.
I've taken to doing the thing that people think is douchey, and that is I wear my earpods at events now. because they have hearing protection on them and it's actually helpful. I wore them last night at Northern Crown, and I was also wearing my toque the whole time too because I was like, I feel kind of douchey just being the guy with his ear pods in. People are gonna think I'm like listening to a podcast or music while I'm watching the wrestling. It's like, no, I don't want to lose my hearing more than I already have. It's kind of a thing that's important to me, but yeah, I know. Well, it's just the way it is. Maybe I'll go to a monster truck show and I'll put in my ear pods. So we'll do that.
That's fine for a monster truck. So a lot of people wear the big old, headphones.
Oh yeah, I used to wear those for practice because I would be working in a smaller room with bands. But yeah, not anymore. I'm good with the ear pods for now. And going to like a show, like a WWE show or an AEW show where there's pyro, I would definitely want to have something in my ear because those concussion bombs after a while they can hurt. But yeah, anyway, if you wear ear protection if you can for any of these big events. Ken Bruno adding, this feels like they're not thrilled with ticket sales for Mania Vegas, and Rock is the in case of emergency break glass moment. You could see it that way, but I mean, they're gonna sell out. They've got 2 more months to go in terms of build. The build has not been fantastic. We know this. It's been really disjointed because they did a late Royal Rumble. They're doing a late WrestleMania, and things are just kind of all over the place. You can tell it's not very strong right now, but I'm hoping.
It's also Easter weekend.
Yes,
I don't know why they picked this weekend. It was that weekend. Like it was kind of poor planning to start, but and then like as people have mentioned, the ticket sales are outrageous. The prices are outrageous.
God damn, Christians don't know when the shows are. I don't know what that was.
I don't either.
I meant to say them damn heathens don't know when the shows are. I'm a Jew. It means nothing to me. It's the end of Passover. So for some people, that matters for us. But for me, not so much. If it had been the beginning, totally different ball game. Anyway, just don't have the beer if you're at WrestleMania because there's bread in the beer. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. The show will do well. The show's already sold well. It's not where they maybe want to be, but I don't see The Rock as the break glass moment. I see it more of the Rock showed up. That's what this was. The Rock showed up and did what he does, which is talk.
I don't feel they called him. I feel like he was the one who was like, all right, this is what we're doing. And what are they going to say? They're not going to say no to The Rock. I don't think they made a call to him of like, hey, we really need you for WrestleMania. Can you please do something here? And then this is what they decided to go with. This definitely feels more like it was always, and the reporting has always said this. Rock's going to come in and do what he wants when he wants to do. Like, that's going to be how it is. Everyone knows that The Rock could show up at any second. And that's what happened here.
Going back to the ticket stuff too, I'm seeing, conversation about tickets are too high. And for every person who's complaining about the ticket prices, there's like 20 people who are just like, well, I'm buying these, and they're not posting about it. It's just like the Fiend title. Remember the Fiend? We talked about the Fiend title on this show because the thing was like $6,500, but there were people who dropped $6,500 for a Fiend belt. It's the same thing. So for every person who's like, I'm going to fight the person who wears the Fiend belt sight on scene for spending all that money, there are people who are spending all that money because this is what they spend their money on. And if that's what they want to do, sure. And WWE can continue getting people to pay that amount of money to go to the shows, then they're going to keep doing it. Someone saying, $9,000 for a suite just to meet Hulk Hogan is crazy. Yeah, it is. To us, it absolutely is. But to some guy who's living out his, 1980s nostalgia feels and wants to pay to go meet their childhood hero, and they don't care about the things that we talk about and we know is wrong about Hogan, they're going to pay the money because that's what they want to do. And they're making the money. WWE is making it. So until they start seeing a reason to drop prices, they're not going to drop prices. I think we're getting to a point where they're going to stagnate and they're going to plateau. But up until now, like there's no reason to move it.
So this is from February 21st. So this is before The Rock got announced for SmackDown. Maybe it was like the day he got announced on SmackDown. Maybe it was just after he got announced. But there was no assurances that he was going to be at WrestleMania at this point. It's from WrestleTix on February 21st. Current setup is 51,000. They've sold 44,000 for night 1 and 45,000 for night 2. Feel like they're doing okay. I don't think this was a whole, we gotta call the Rock in to sell these final 6,000 tickets 2 months from the show. I think they were okay without the Rock.
Here I am talking about all the money and stuff and what people spend on. Woj has a collection. Have you seen this?
No,
he's
breaking the trade. I don't care.
Well, so what he's selling are the phones that he used to break the trades and all the deals. So he's got an
hilarious
iPhone used to break Paul George Kawhi to the LA Clippers, and it's going.
Shit! I want that phone.
That phone is going for $350. It looks like an iPhone. It could be a 6S or a 7. It's definitely not a big one. He's holding it upside down, which is even funnier. The iPhone used to break the NBA suspending season due to COVID. It looks like the same phone, but for some reason he's got it. And it's got $525. His draft credentials from 2024, his final draft, his ESPN ID badges, which is hilarious.
Why would people want like a Woj credential?
Why do you want his phones?
Well, I mean, a phone can like still be used, I assume.
Yes. Someone asking, does it still have the text messages? That's the thing.
That's what I want. Yeah.
I highly doubt it. Maybe screenshots with like the redacted for the sources.
That's fine.
There's another photo of him with the iPhone used for farewell tweet and final NBA draft. That's $500. Same phone in his hand. I got to assume he's just taking multiple photos with the same phone and just passing it off. The iPhone used for the 2023 draft lottery and the draft. That's the Wemby draft. But in this one, he's holding the phone and he's got a case on it. So I don't know, man. He's got a lot of the same phone.
This phone has, it's the iPhone XR.
Oh, the 10R.
This is where he announced Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving teaming up in Brooklyn, Anthony Davis joining LeBron James in Los Angeles, and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard both landing with the Clippers. I kind of want this phone. It's the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade phone. It might be the most important phone in Thunder history.
The phone he used for the final draft is an iPhone 15, and that's going for $500. That's what it is right now. So if you want a cheap iPhone, I mean, $500 for a 15 is pretty good. Something to consider.
Jeremy Lambert is flirting with iPhone used for farewell tweet and final NBA draft. Joel Pearl is enamored with iPhone used for farewell tweet and final NBA draft.
Seems bad. So, what random ITW prop would y'all sell? The Terramana bottle, absolutely, yes, $400.
Oh, yeah, that'll be emptied on Friday, most likely.
That's right. We got to do that for the Rock.
Yeah.
My microphone, yes, that was actually gifted to me by a friend of the show, Drew Nicholas. It was a birthday present a few years ago. It's about 3 years ago now. Always appreciate that. I think of it when I'm talking into it. Yeah, that's hilarious. I just saw this tweet and I was like, amazing. Randomest shit ever.
Bless. Get the money.
Oh, God. Yeah. How much for Sean's phone for the AEW Punk news? We got to ask Sean. If Sean pops in this week, we got to ask him. Maybe I'll ask him. I'll interview Sean Ross Sapp while he's in Toronto. I think that would be an awful bit. I can't sell Tim because I still need him sometimes.
You can sell his soul.
I could. He's bald. I don't know if we could do this. Let's hit the last couple super chats, and then I want to talk about something very, very important to us. Matthew Hook saying Triple H's creative feels exposed. WWE feels boring. There are certain aspects for sure. Again, SmackDown was not riveting whatsoever. I'm very excited for them to be off the 3-hour train. I hope that they see this experiment as a failure and just drop it back to 2 hours. Raw doesn't go 3 hours. Raw does 2.5, and most weeks, like, it's got enough going, or at least the flow is such that like the show doesn't suck. Something's going on with SmackDown, and I know everyone immediately wants to say it's because of the writer, because of the co-head writer that was put out there, but I don't think Brian James is the only issue with the creative on SmackDown. I just think that there's a lack of direction and a lack of good stories going on SmackDown, and a lot of repeating the same shit. The tag titles are a good example of that. you had a bunch of run-ins and building to a triple threat.
They've been doing the same stuff on SmackDown that they keep doing on Raw. And the 3-hour shows haven't been good since the start of the year, honestly. Like there was maybe 1 or 2 weeks where it was like, oh, that wasn't terrible. But for the most part, the 3-hour shows just haven't hit. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Part of the problem is when you built your entire show around the bloodline and Roman Reigns, when there is no Roman Reigns, the show feels less than. And when you add an hour to that, it's going to feel extra less than.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's too long. And I'm hoping that by June, when they're allegedly going to be done with it, that they say, well, back to 2 hours. But for sometimes the money is enough that they're like, we're just going to take the money and deal with the outrage. Or just do what I do. After 2 hours, turn the show off. If it was a good third hour, you go back and watch the clips on socials. Or you'll watch the whole thing, depending on how you feel. How about that? Or you're Jeremy, you got to watch the whole thing. Ryan Lambert saying, corporate champion Tonga Loa, book it, Rock and Triple
Hell
H.
yeah.
Yeah. That's all I want. And Ryan Adams sending in a super chat saying, so after Cody says no, and since Rock isn't wrestling at WrestleMania, does The Rock help someone who'd be willing to sell their soul? And if that's the case, Drew would make the more sense, or maybe Randy Orton. We talked about Drew. What about the idea that Randy Orton comes back and he's the guy that would do the corporate thing?
I mean, like you can make it make sense, obviously, but I don't love it. Like Orton's at where he's at. You don't need to do some major. He doesn't need to be the focal point and the champion in 2025. I just don't need that for Randy Orton. I'd much rather go to someone who is going to be there most weeks and would feel like a fresh character. That's why I don't fully love my idea of Seth Rollins, even though I think he would pull it off well because we've like been there. How many times have we seen Orton just be aligned with authority figures? Like, I don't need to see it in 2025. You know who's a possibility here for this that we didn't mention? Kevin Owens. Yeah. Kevin Owens is a real possibility here. I think it'd be great for him. One, because he'd finally win the friggin' title, which he deserves after all his failures. But he would also just be fantastic at the entire role. So I wouldn't hate Kevin Owens being that guy. Don't think it will be him, but he'd be fantastic at it.
They tried but didn't try with Kevin. Remember when
his first Universal title run? Yeah,
his first Universal title run. Triple H does the Triple H comes in, does the pedigree, and it's a whole like they showed the hand on the neck, and anyway, nothing ever came of it. This is an opportunity to maybe make good on something like that. It's not a bad idea. Kevin would be an out of nowhere type of person, but at the same time, it would make perfect sense because of everything you just said. And going back to Orton, I largely agree with you. He's done so much of the corporate champion, corporate alignment stuff that it's like, let him be popular. Let him be the legacy pop and all that stuff. I know eventually he'll come back and, you know, they got to tie things up with Kevin Owens and do all that stuff. But I couldn't see him working with The Rock. I could see them teasing it, but I don't think that he needs that rub at all.
Yeah.
Have him go up to The Rock and be like, I could be your guy. And The Rock's like, 20 years ago.
If they wanted to make somebody, they could actually elevate somebody off of this. And I do hope they elevate somebody in some way off of this. I don't think we're going to see like a Montez Ford win the world title coming off of this. I would love if there is an actual stable that comes out of this and you do make multiple people, and the Street Profits would make some sense to be in that stable. Like, I would love if they actually elevate more than just Punk, Seth, Drew, Kevin, everybody we've named today. They don't need this corporation spot. They don't need this corporate champion spot. They're already top guys who have hit the level that they've hit, and you can elevate them at any time you want without doing a story like this. So it would be nice if you did take somebody like a Carmelo Hayes or like the Street Profits, and you actually elevated them to a higher spot on the card.
I wouldn't hate it. You know who it should be, though? Should be Thea Hale.
I mean, I agree. She should win all these titles.
Then she could stop shopping at Target in the middle of the night, trying to find chicken dumplings and being stuck with pork dumplings. That poor girl. Did you see this? I'm sure you did.
Of course.
This woman is out shopping at Target at midnight with the music off. Very strange, by the way, to be going anywhere. It's very unsettling to walk into any department store, any retail space, and there's no music playing. It's just like, what am I supposed to do here? It's very unnerving. But she's walking through. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on TikTok. It's like 3 minutes. She goes there and she's buying all this stuff. She's having like meltdowns because she's hungry and she can't find her dumplings that she wants. She wants chicken, but they only have pork. And I'm like, is this a diet thing? Is this like a kosher thing? Is this a halal thing? What are we doing here? What is Thea Hale dealing with? She put out that she is lactose intolerant, so now we know. That is the big Thea Hale news that we had guessed from the coffee gimmick. But yeah, this was actually really funny. The stupid forks. She's picking up forks and dropping them and talking about her anxiety. Ryan Lambert's questioning her choice of toilet paper. I get it. She's very, very chaotic. She's very, very on the nose with her branding when it comes to the channel she's trying.
Yeah, I watched this and I was like, oh, that's not a gimmick what she's doing on television. This is who she is, which great because she rules on television. So she's fantastic in these videos as well. This was the biggest piece of content coming out of the weekend. I agree.
I need more of it. Like I just like cocaine, I need more of it. I think
we'll continue to get more of it. So
we should. We got to see her on TV though. In Thea's Weeds is absolutely when the interview drops, when we do it, yeah, we're gonna call it in Thea's Weeds. Although people might take that the wrong way.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if we're gonna do that.
Might be a misconception there if we do it, but anyway. Rock takes Thea and brings back the black shirt Duke Hudson, and we get Rock U.
Oh hell yeah!
Let's go. I'm all about it. They call him the Duke. They don't call him Duke Hudson. They just call him the Duke. He does a whole Rock gimmick. We're scheduled to be joined by Donovan Dijak, the Dijak, at 11:30. So in about 5 minutes, hopefully he shows up and does his thing. He's usually really good about timing. Let's face it. But we also know things get in the way. That's just the way it goes. And then after he's done, we'll touch on AEW Collision and talk about everything that came out of that because there was a lot of really good stuff. Unless you want to talk about Bandito and Chris Jericho.
Rules that Chris Jericho still the champion. Great match.
So this is funny. I remember when everyone was like, "Oh, Jericho's washed. Jericho can't keep up." Blah blah blah. Who did he turn to in his last AEW or in his last Ring of Honor title run? He turned to Bandito and had a great match with Bandito in 2022. And people were like, "Oh, maybe he's not so bad." Well, here we are again, and this was a good match. Bandito and Jericho. Don't love keeping Jericho as the champion. Didn't think Bandito was going to win the title. I don't know. It's the Ring of Honor Championship. Why should I care? Maybe that's just Jericho getting over on old Joel. I don't know.
It was a taped show. He wasn't going to lose the title on a taped show.
Would be hilarious if he had. People would have been counting down the days. Be like, guys, 3 days until the end of Chris Jericho Ring of Honor title reign. Ratings through the roof. Everyone's going to be happy. Everyone's singing ding dong, the Jericho or the whatever. The learning tree's dead. I don't know.
How dare you?
It's not me. It's the people. I'm speaking on behalf of the people. The match was fine, though. But now we're back to who's Jericho going to face next? When is the Ring of Honor World? When is the next Ring of Honor big show? I know you and SP3 and you and I talked about it. It's just a lot of appearing and a whole lot of nothing going on with Ring of Honor. Commander still has the Ring of Honor Television Championship, allegedly. But now he's in a tag team with Hologram, which, again, nice. It's fun. Hologram and Beast Mortos had a good match on Collision. It was like that typical Collision match where it's like we're throwing out two luchadors who are going to kick ass and you're going to have fun. I like that. I can sit and watch that. Now I'm just like, okay, what are Commander and Hologram going to do as a tag as a tag team when one of them is the Ring of Honor world television champion? A lot of worlds going on here.
They're not going to put the title in some meaningful thing on AEW television. So him being on this tag team with Hologram, I think is great. I hope it leads to something. Although they'll face Mortos and Roosh and Jalistico for a little while. And then I hope they elevate Hologram out of all of this, because clearly they've put a lot of stock into him. They've kept him undefeated. I know he was off television since October when Wrestle Dream was, but they made reference to his undefeated streak still. So they're putting a lot of equity into Hologram, and I hope they actually elevate him off of this. And it's not just we're gonna just do matches with Hologram for the sake of matches.
They're just gonna put him in a tag team with Commander, and Commander is gonna eat all the L's in the tag team.
I wouldn't have them lose too many tag team matches either, because that kind of still hurts the aura a little bit. So I'd have them win tag team matches as well. I just wanted like an actual program for Hologram.
Yeah.
And more than just here's the match of the week.
I know that in like outside AEW, they're going to be tag teaming in CMLL, Hologram and Commander. So that's at least kind of the start to telling that story. If they go and maybe they have a showing in CMLL, hopefully they'll get some of the footage and bring it back and be like, hey, they've been successful here, so let's keep that going here. Commander maybe drops the TV title. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't matter. I know not a lot of people, some voices make a big deal of having your Ring of Honor champions losing matches on AEW TV. But if you're going to do it with Hologram and Commander, like, go for it. If it works and it's there, have fun with it. So I like both men. I like what they do in the ring. And I think Beast Mortos was a perfect start because he's a great base for all these guys.
Yeah, but he's been feuding with Beast Mortos.
But it's just easy is what I'm saying. It's easy and it looks good. Yeah, that's how
Okay.
you start it. It all starts there. But I'm saying once you move on from this, hopefully the chemistry is there and such that you can continue building this tag team, assuming this is what they want to do and is how they want to present it. But anyway, less about that, more about our guest. He's here, and if he's ready, we can get on with it. He can give us a thumbs up and tell us he's ready to go.
He flips you off.
He didn't. So
There we
he did. Well, anyway, he's gonna try and eliminate 39 other men, or at least however many men he can, in the Battle Riot. MLW's Battle Riot's coming up on Saturday, April 5th in LA at the Commerce Casino and Hotel. We welcome to the show the one and only Donovan Dijak. Dijak's here. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
Well,
Doing well. Appreciate you joining us. Look, I got to get it out of the way right off the bat. We have heat, Dijak. You probably don't know about this, but
No,
I know
don't.
all about this.
Oh,
So
please.
after you left WWE, you did a lengthy interview with one Sean Ross Sapp. Maybe you remember that. Okay.
I do.
You told a lot of great stories. It was a very fun interview.
Yeah.
At one point, you apologized for speaking too much, and you said, "Oh, I'm sorry for this long story." And Sean says, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll make our transcriptionist do all the work. You can talk as much as you want to."
Is that you?
I am the transcriptionist.
Oh,
So-
no, I'm sorry.
I had to transcribe that entire interview that
Yeah.
you did. So we have a little bit of heat because of that. I'm just gonna let you know now in case things are a little tense between us during this interview here.
You know what I realized is I use a ton of filler words because I watch I don't know if you have to transcribe all of those or not.
I don't always like do all the filler words and stuff, but you gave a lot of good information. It was your first big
don't-
interview
I don't-
coming out of there too. So
I try not to use or like, because those are three of the common ones. But I do use right a lot. I say right question mark. And man, when I'm watching a like an Instagram, I just said like, of course. When I'm watching an Instagram video or whatever, and it's got the little subtitles, just the filler words are just so obvious. They just blast out because you don't hear them when you're talking, but you read them, and it's, oh my gosh, just every other sentence. So yeah, I'll do my best not to ruin your life with this one. Do you have to transcribe this one later?
Yes, I'll have to transcribe this one later as well.
I'll try to keep it brief.
I'm gonna put you on like a stopwatch count here. We're gonna do a minute. At a minute, I'm just gonna mute you, and that's it.
A yapper. Sorry, I'm a yapper. When it comes to pro wrestling, I'm a yapper.
I'm just kidding.
No. Please, I want you to give the most verbose answers you can. If you've got a $10 word to pull out, go ahead and use it. I want you to make Jeremy's life hell. And on top of that, if you want to and ah your way through something, I won't stop you. But you know what? We talk about it on this show. The umming and the ahing and other presenters who do it. Yes. Repeat yourself. Just repeat whatever you said last. Repeat it again. That's how people tend to get around the ums and ahs. We're learning something today.
We are learning. Yeah, it's a work in progress. Yeah, but I'm very much looking forward to Battle Riot. Should be an amazing event, and I'm very glad that the championship is on the line now. Shout out to Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff, making my life so much better and so much easier. And I'm very excited to become the new MLW World Heavyweight Champion.
What's the partnership been like with MLW overall, but MSL as well? He's he's gotten himself into some shady things over the years with the WTF and the I don't know. Tom Lawler didn't outright accuse you of ending the WTF, but like he said it in so many words that you were kind of the reason.
Yeah, no, if he wants to, because I did okay. End the WTF. That was my destruction. I put a stop to that. I put an end to that. Too bad for Tom Lawler. If he liked his spot in there, then that's too bad. He decided that he likes his little acquaintanceship with Matt Riddle more than he likes money. So that's another one I do a ton of so look out for the But yeah, no, now the partnership between me and Saint Laurent is extremely strong, stronger than he ever had with the WTF. It is a massive collaboration, and it's paying off very, very handsomely, both financially and soon to be in championship gold.
Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead. I was about to cough.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah. Enjoy typing that out.
Yeah.
Luckily, he doesn't have to transcribe everything.
Have you had any
Joel coughing?
Have you had any interactions with Eric Bischoff since? I know he showed up to a couple of the tapings, but have you had any interactions with Eric Bischoff since joining MLW?
Nothing on screen that I'm familiar with, but yeah, we had a little conversation backstage. That was nice.
Okay, can we get insight into what was said?
It was, hey man, how you doing? Stuff like that. It wasn't nothing too dramatic. He and I have no actual history before. That was the first time we'd ever met, as far as I know. Besides the time where we were yelling at each other on Twitter in 2020 when I was C-Bar, but that's water under the bridge. Who cares? We were all going through COVID, and it was a mess. And his job is to talk about pro wrestling, and my job was to defend what was happening at that point. So it was a tall task for both of us. But yeah, no, there's no issue there or anything like that. It was nice to meet him in person, and to just say hi and tell him I'm a big fan of his work.
Speaking of your work, you've been doing some work as a not a trainer, but you've been doing seminars. You've been teaching wrestlers how to do the job. What's been something that you've been learning?
How to do the
job. Not just do the job, but how to do it.
Yes, you want to lay on your back and stare at the light. You're really good at that.
Sometimes the lights are in the corners. I don't know. You want to find the light. Tell me, what's the experience been like, kind of learning how to be a seminar leader and teaching a crop of talent, about what you're doing and what works and maybe what doesn't?
Yeah. So the good part about that, for me anyway, is situationally, I had a lot of sort of prep work for that in my second run in NXT, right? I wasn't a coach per se, but I was inserted in sort of a mentorship type role and situation. It was kind of funny timing wise, because I got to WWE in 2017, and I was 29, about to turn 30. Or I did turn 30 just before I got there. So I was actually like on the younger side of the roster when I started in NXT, and I was established on the independent scene and in Ring of Honor, but not a big star like an Adam Cole or the rest of Undisputed Era or any of those guys, right? So I kind of started and was put into sort of a learning position, and then that grew over time, and I started to get added to takeovers, and I built a little bit of a reputation and such. And then the pandemic and COVID time happened, and that's when I moved up to Raw. So in 2020, I was 33, 32 actually, about to turn 33, and that's when I started in the Monday Night Raw sort of landscape. So I was actually on the younger side. Like if you look at the Raw roster right now, 32 or 33 is extremely young for Monday Night Raw. And at the time it was too, you know, there was only a handful of us. There was maybe 2 or 3 people in their 20s in terms of men, and only a handful under 35. So I was actually sort of in a learning role then, and it progressed to the point where I got to 36 or so, and then I got moved back down to NXT, and then boom, overnight, suddenly the way NXT had shifted, all of a sudden everybody was 19 or 20 years old, and I was dramatically older and more experienced than everybody there. You know, it's the vast majority of the NXT locker room when I started or when I came back in 2022 had less than a year experience, and they were under 25 years old. So I suddenly overnight became this mentor, this locker room not guru, but like the person to go to with experience, right? The veteran, if you will, of the locker room. So suddenly I was in the performance center for weeks on end, and I was training with these kids, and I was, you know, helping and teaching and mentoring and all that stuff. So I had this time of mentorship to sort of work with. And then obviously when my time with WWE ended, I almost immediately was contacted by Chase and Scott, the owners of the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, which is where I trained when I was coming up. And they immediately said, like, what do we got to do to bring you on board as a trainer? And I was there the next, I think, like 3 days later, training at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy on Wednesday nights, and I've been there every Wednesday since. So yeah, I've been training in ring now for over 6 months, coming up on 8 months actually. And then with the Dijak Wrestling Academy, which you mentioned, which is dijakwrestling.com for anybody who's interested. It's a concept that I had, and I know it's a difficult concept to understand, right? Because a lot of people see that, and their head immediately goes to, you can't learn to be a pro wrestler online, which is half accurate, because I'm not selling anybody a bill of goods. I'm not promising you that I'm going to take people who have no experience and make them ready to wrestle a match because of an online class. That's not realistic, right? That's obscene. But the idea is that I'm going to teach you about the business of professional wrestling. I'm going to give you supplementary knowledge, right? Or preparatory knowledge, so that if and when you decide to take an in-person class like the one I teach at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, or at any other place, right? Because this is an online class, you can take it anywhere in the world. Then you will have this supplementary knowledge or this introductory knowledge to prepare you mentally for all of the difficult parts of professional wrestling that take a seasoned eye or take an alternative viewpoint to be able to learn more efficiently and more effectively, so you can become a better professional wrestler when the time comes, right? That's the idea behind the Dijak Wrestling Academy. And so far the classes are full. Everyone's enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, right? I'm not the kind of person who likes to waste people's time or tell war stories or anything like that. I get right down to the nitty gritty. We spend time interacting with the classes. There's tons of feedback, tons of interaction. Everybody's thrilled with it. It's really one of the best parts of my week, and I very much enjoy it. So thank you for asking about it. I appreciate it.
Just as a follow-up, I mean, with all of this knowledge that you're able to impart, you're mentioning doing that, at the PC with the NXT crowd. Are you able to do that with some of the MLW roster? Because I know that the ages are different there and the experience is different, but you still come with a caveat of lots of knowledge.
Yeah, in certain aspects, absolutely. I mean, there's a big range in MLW, right? There's guys there who, you know, were wrestling before I was born, right? So that's that's something you don't really experience so much in WWE, right? In WWE, especially NXT, everybody trended younger, but even on Monday Night Raw, you know, there's not a ton of people with that much experience. In MLW, you know, there's a massive range of experience, right? So, you know, there's different people who fill different roles. There's guys who've been there much longer than I have. So yeah, if someone is interested and they're of the, you know, the bracket that can use feedback and knowledge of that, then yeah, of course, there's a lot of collaboration in that aspect. But it's not the kind of thing where I'm gonna storm into a place and after 6 months I'm gonna try to, you know, grab the locker room leader role, right? That's not my role to have right now. But yeah, everyone in MLW is very collaborative. No one is worried about you know, who's got what information. It's all just about absorbing information. So I'm helpful. I'm happy to be helpful, and I'm also happy to learn from some of these people who have much more experience than me. I've always been of that mindset, right? I used to ask Randy Orton, Seth Rollins for feedback all the time, right? Just because even though I was 10 to 12 years in at that point, there's always time to learn, right? This is all subjective. So anyone who has experience, even if they're newer than me, if you have experience and feedback that is going to help me in any capacity, then I'm interested in it, right? And hopefully the other people are as well.
Did you get any feedback from Knuckles? 'Cause this is a thing that came back to life this
Yeah,
past weekend from
yeah,
one account
I
about
saw that.
no context crossovers, and then you
Yes,
posted the video of your I guess punching contest
I
with
can't,
Knuckles.
yeah, I can't stand how much because when we were doing that, right, this was Stand and Deliver last year. When we were doing that collaboration, so the way the way it was presented to me was about a week before the match, right? So we knew we had this huge match. This is literally the biggest match in my career. I knew it was going to be in front of a huge crowd. It's this big platform. And then it was presented to me, oh, by the way, there's an integration thing in your match, and it's with Knuckles, Knuckles, the TV show. And the second I heard that, we were all like, like, because it's like, is this big, serious, like big man? Like we're literally, our goal was to have the best big man match, certainly triple threat, but best big man match in pro wrestling history, right? And now it's like, oh, by the way, here's a silly thing that we're gonna have to do. And like Knuckles is, they said something about Knuckles is gonna be like involved in the match somehow, and we're all like, oh, like how do we, you know, what are we gonna do to, you know, am I gonna bump Knuckles around? Then all of a sudden it's a silly sort of thing. So so the so the idea was when they presented that to me, that was the sort of roadblock in my head. But moving forward from that is when we sorry, I'm trying to Rolodex exactly the timeline of what happened. So okay, so we got to the arena, and that's when I found out that it was going to be sort of more before and after, and that the words were going to be part of the match, right? So I got to do the integration with Knuckles beforehand, and I was like, this is awesome. This is going to be humorous but also memorable at the same time. And I thought for sure that would be the memorable part of all of this. And ultimately, what ended up happening is the memorable part of all of it was Knuckles standing behind Booker T staring at him, because everybody thought that was the funniest visual in the world. So yeah, long story short, I wish that my interaction with Knuckles was what became super popular, but it ended up being Booker T, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for him, but unfortunately for me.
As kind of a follow up on that, less about the Knuckles, but more about that match. I mean, it won NXT Match of the Year. Like, it won the NXT award for Match of the Year. How do you feel about winning that award based on your work in that match? But then, of course, kind of what transpired after that match and departing WWE.
Mhm. Yeah, obviously, kind of bittersweet in a sense. I'm super thankful that it was allowed to be part of that conversation, right? Because they didn't have to do that, right? By they, I assume I'm not part of the process anymore, but I assume that Shawn Michaels had to green light that in some capacity. By that, I mean the inclusion of that match in the end of the year awards discussion, because they very easily, and kind of what I expected to happen was for them to just not not include it and just pretend it didn't happen. Um, but they didn't. They included it, and it ended up getting the most votes and winning the award. And I'm super thankful that that was allowed to happen. I'm thankful for all the fans that voted for it. Um, Honestly, it means quite a bit to me, right? Because in a space where a lot of stuff that happens and a lot of accolades that happen are out of our control, because at the end of the day, it's a lot of this is someone else's decision. A match that I do, and again, I'm given the platform and stuff, but what happens in the match, a lot of it is my responsibility, right? Or the responsibility of the wrestlers, of the talent. There's obviously agents involved, and producers and bookers and referees, and it's a big collaborative effort. But ultimately, a lot of the content that you're seeing in a match is the work of the professional wrestlers. So in that aspect, this that the award of being recognized as, hey, this was the best match that we had all the year on this brand, that means so much to me, because it's like this is our work, right? This is we got to decide what happened in this match, and for everybody to unanimously sort of praise it, it's a great feeling in a landscape where that's not always the case. So yeah, I'm super thankful for that. Obviously, I was fairly vocal about what took place with me and WWE and my departure from there. Look, I was vocal then. I'm vocal now. I feel like I'm the best professional wrestler in the world. I think that obviously good and best and words like that are all subjective, and professional wrestling in and of itself is subjective, right? I think what people I think what a lot of things are gauged on in the world of professional wrestling is like, well, what have you done? What have you accomplished? Right. I choose to view professional wrestling from a baseline standpoint. And for me, from a baseline standpoint, what I can do in a professional wrestling ring is unique and stands alone in a in a world where that becomes sort of my own measuring point for myself, right? So now my goal is to prove that to be accurate, and the only way that I'm going to gather enough people's attention is by showing them, right? By continually showing them. I felt like I was doing that in NXT. I feel like I'm doing that in MLW. I feel like I need to continue to trend upward. I need to rebrand myself to show that what I said about myself is in fact true, and that I'm not just blowing smoke and creating hyperbole about myself, right? I feel like this is true, and I feel like it's my job, because I'm in the prime of my career, to live up to the high expectations that I set for myself. So that's my goal. And that's how I feel about the situation.
So wrestling is a spectrum. There's so much wrestling, and I love that you shifted, because behind you is that Hello Kitty pillow talking about
I just noticed that too.
a city that is near and dear to my heart is Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I grew up in Ottawa. You've had the privilege, I guess, of wrestling at both C4, which is a very popular promotion out of Ottawa, and also at Mystery Wrestling, which is Evil Uno's presentation of wrestling. Two very different presentations. Can you, first of all, contrast, compare? You got to work with Stu Grayson on one show and with Speedball Mike Bailey on the other. C4 for Speedball, and then Stu got the mystery show. But talk to me about the differences, because again, the presentations are worlds apart, and I'm just curious about your experience working those two different styles of shows.
So interestingly enough, going into Mystery Wrestling, I was talking a lot with Uno. about the show, because I'd seen a lot, and I'm good friends with MXM, and they were on the show, so or they were on a show before that, and they did a whole spot with an invisible dog, and the dog got punted and stuff. So I'm a huge fan of that variety.
I was at that show.
You were at that show, so I'm a huge fan of that style of wrestling. It's not so much the style that's typically asked of me, but I was happy to do it if so. But we just never really had that particular conversation. And then when we got there and had the pre-show meeting, and I remember this very clearly because I wasn't sure what the expectation was. I didn't even know who I was wrestling until I got there. But I'm paraphrasing. It's not an exact quote, but it was something to the effect of like, I know that this show is very popular for its, comedy spots. He said, if we expect you to be a comedy wrestler, you should already know. Like, if there's any question in your mind, then you're not a comedy wrestler. I said, oh, okay, good. I don't need to. I'm just gonna have a regular match then. Like my job on that show was to have the normal match, and normal in a sense that it was going to be great, and that I'm the expectation of me in terms of in-ring professional wrestling is a very high expectation. I've never phoned a match in my life. There's no crowd small enough or disinterested enough that could make me possibly not do what I felt was the best possible presentation for any pro wrestling crowd. That's just how I work from a mental standpoint. I just wasn't sure what the expectation was in terms of style until I got there, and he was like, no, we want you and Stu to have a killer match. And that's exactly what we did. So in terms of what happened, it was actually fairly similar from my standpoint. The show itself obviously is dramatically different from one to the other. But yeah, 99% of the time when you get Donovan Dijak in the ring, you're getting one of the best professional wrestling matches you've ever seen, certainly in person. And that's what you got on those 2 nights. There are the occasional shows that do bring me in to do like this didn't happen a lot ever in WWE, but in my 8 months on the independent scene right now, I think I've done 2 or 3. One where I pretended I was Johnny Cage, and then 2 where I've played a Russian character from 1980 something called. The nickname is Sarbamba. The character is Volka. I can't remember the exact name, but that's where I'm doing, some silly stuff, which is a blast for me. So, but yeah, mystery wrestling. No, I was just on in Dijak, but both of those shows are outstanding. I was very close to going back to C4. We had a deal in place, and I had to shift around a bunch of stuff because of some huge news coming up that I can't share yet, but you will hear about it very shortly. It involves MLW. Very exciting stuff. I had to shift around a whole family vacation around it. So unfortunately, I can't make it back to C4, but yeah, I can't wait. I'm good friends with both those guys. I'm in touch with both of them, and I'm doing my best to be all over the place, all over the world. So I'm super excited to go back to the Ottawa area as often as I possibly can.
Volk Milica.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I just found it. Had to figure it out.
You know what? I'm going to say this right now. And if anything's going to make headlines from this interview, it's going to be this. Did you guys see that clip or picture, or maybe it was a video of Ilya Dragunov in his early days of I think it was WXW, but his early days of professional wrestling, where he did a stereotypical American character, and he was like Billy Bob from Tennessee or something. If you haven't seen this, go look it up. There's at least a picture, but that match between Ilya Dragunov's American character and my Russian character has to happen at some point. I don't know where it's going to happen, but I love wrestling Ilya so much, and for us to switch roles and to have these pre-made characters would be so awesome. I think that would be the greatest match in pro wrestling history. So I'm pitching that right now to whoever.
We'll put it out there. It'll be an article. I'll get the article up, yeah, so it'll be on the website.
Please do.
Before we let you go, and before you go and toss a bunch of guys out of the ring over at the Battle Riot on April the 5th in LA, we play a game on the channel. It's called Partner Promo Punch in the Face. I give you
Ooh.
three.
Wow.
Typically, we give you 3 wrestlers that you've worked with, but because you like to take it to some of our media friends, we're going to do this with some media personalities you've interacted
boy.
with over the last little while.
Oh,
Partner
boy.
promo face, you're picking one person that you would have a promo off, go one-on-one in the ring on the microphone, one that you would punch in the face, in other words, a one-on-one contest, and someone that you would partner with in a tag team match. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Obviously, we got to pick our own Sean Ross Sapp. Santi Zap, who I know you have a very fun relationship with. And you know what? I'm going to toss a curveball. I'll pick another one of our own, our very own Kate Elizabeth. I know you and her have had some conversations.
Yeah. Right now, the only question in my mind is who do I want to punch in the face more, Sean or Santi Zap? I thought it was going to go the opposite direction. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to punch someone in the face but then you gave me great options to punch in the face. I'm going to have to go with Santi to punch in the face. Nobody deserves it more. I'll do the promo battle with Sean because at least I can bury him then, right? At least I can bury him on the microphone, right? And maybe I'll just shoot a punch on his face. It's just to make sure everybody's getting appropriately punched in the face. And yeah, then I'll tag with Kate. That'll be fun. We can tag team against those two and beat the hell out of them.
Anything else?
3 opportunities to punch him in the face. See what I did there? That's a real work.
As a real worker.
I respect it.
Absolutely. You can check out Dijak and all the other MLW superstars. They're going to be at the Battle Riot on Saturday, April 5th. It's at Commerce Casino and Hotel in Los Angeles, California. Tickets at MLWLA.com. They're starting at $10, man. Go scoop them up. They're gonna sell out. Dijak, before you get out of here, go ahead and plug your stuff.
Hell yeah. We've had so many sellouts in a row for MLW. I'm so happy. I'm so proud. The trajectory is upward. Every time I go there, we have a blast. You're going to see a new MLW heavyweight champion, and it's going to be me. So thank you for checking me out. Everything for me is either Dijak, FYE, or at Dijak Wrestling now. You can check out my school, my online school. You can learn all about pro wrestling from me at DijakWrestling.com. And thank you so much. I appreciate everyone who watches this and pays attention and supports me in any capacity. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Dijak.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to kick you off, or are you going to kick yourself off?
Oh, you kick me off.
All
It'll feel more.
All right. I feel more powerful when you do that. Thank you. Yeah.
Always the battle of who's going to boot who.
That's my favorite part of the interview, when we say goodbye and we figure out who's doing what. That's what we don't talk about production notes in this show. People just show up and we talk. Great chat with Dijak. Great dude.
I feel like we squashed our beef, which was the most important thing there.
And then he proceeded to talk a lot about a lot of his answers and basically give you more work.
No, it's fine. I do. Who put in the chat of it was a regular. It was a pal. So a lot of people just said ratio me. Oh yeah, Dijak, we have heat because you made me have to do my job. Yes.
Talk away, Dijak. Please be as detailed as possible. Try to explain everything. Great interview, should have been longer. We always try to keep these to like 15-20 minutes. It's 30 minutes when it's a lot of fun. We appreciate them. As people say, if Dijak doesn't win, then there's an ITW jinx. We've had for a while. It was people were winning when they showed up on our show. Yeah. Then Filthy Tom kind of ruined it.
We got a few people coming up this week. I'm going to do this. I'm going to jinx it. So I apologize in advance for putting these names out there and then they do not show up this week. But on Tuesday, scheduled to have Akira, who's been on the show before. So it should be a lot of fun. And Thursday, scheduled to have BRG, who's also been on the show before. So that's the guest lineup so far for the rest of the week. Could have more, could get additions there, but those two are scheduled to join us on Tuesday and Thursday from MLW. So should be fun chatting with them again, especially BRG after he was honey trapped by Paul London, and he had to go through that embarrassing little moment there.
Better to be honey trapped than honey dicked.
Well, maybe that's a good question that we can ask. BRG. He's like, would you rather be honey trapped or honey dicked? And we'll see what kind of answer we get out of that.
Probably. I won't be there for that interview, so write it down now. when you're talking to him, you should ask if he got all the honey out of his ears before you start.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah,
feels like it'd be a lot of messiness dealing with that. Shout out to Dijak. That was good stuff. Shout out MLW. They're always very generous with setting up these conversations. I think we should have them. We should pressure them and be like, hey, MLW, the winner of the Battle Riot on this show, the morning or the first Monday after.
Okay.
I think we could do that. I think we should do that. We want the MLW heavyweight champion for that show. I think that's doable.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do.
And then we're gonna find out it's like some random, and we're like, oh shit.
I don't feel like it's gonna be anybody random.
No, but it'd be very funny if it was.
Nah.
It's just Dijak again.
That'd be great. Honestly, that'd be fantastic.
That would be great.
Yeah,
we should get their soul. That should be the match.
Yeah.
The winner of the Battle Riot actually gets your soul. Jeremy soul specifically. Anyway, we were talking about Collision before we invited Dijak here. A couple of things that I just wanted to talk about was first of all, Gabe Kidd, Don Callis, hilarious. Not that there was an interaction directly, but Don Callis was scoping out Gabe Kidd during his match. People were just kind of like, no, stay away from Gabe Kidd. Keep him away. That was funny stuff.
They're bringing in, they brought in Kidd, and now they're bringing in Clark Connors, pal of the show, guest of the show a couple weeks ago. So yeah, good on Clark Connors. Like, there's some good stuff they can do with the War Dogs in AEW, and I hope they give them some stuff to do, and it's not just come in, do matches, and that's it. Like, I think there's some actual material there that they can do with the War Dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good to see Gabe Kidd. He was talking his shit like he always does, and doing it in a relatively not family friendly, but in a more PG kind of way. He wasn't yelling too many F-bombs. He threw out fewer F-bombs than The Rock did on Friday night. So
yeah, that's true.
Low bar, but at least he did it. Looking forward to seeing some of the War Dogs show up in AEW, maybe some crossover with New Japan, and they're going to be stateside soon enough. So I'd like to see it. Again, Forbidden Door is going to show up eventually in the end of the summertime, and I'd like to see a better integration, a better stories crossing between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW as we get into that season. But we got a while. We haven't even gotten through spring. Like, the winter's not over yet. We're not even in the spring. We haven't gotten to summer. But if this is the start and planting of some seeds, then I'm all for it. It was good to see Gabe Kidd, and like you said, Clark Connors coming around is going to be a really fun opportunity to showcase him in AEW as well. Harley Cameron, I want to talk about that real quick. What do you think of that promo? I thought, personally, I thought that it was a good way to bring it back around. She lost, but she was still her energetic self, and hopefully the crowds continue to feel the wrath. And they've announced it's going to be Deonna Purrazzo and Harley on Dynamite this week.
I think that's the biggest thing, is she has a match on Dynamite against Deonna Purrazzo, which means they have something for her coming off of this, because you can do the promo, that's fine, and they can keep her over in that way, but you got to have something substantial past that. Not for me. I'm fine, just do promos every single week. Do your variety show, do your talent show every week. That's fine with me. For some reason, people want wrestling matches. So it's good that they have her in a wrestling match. Very curious of now. Deonna's been teasing somebody else for the Vendetta. Did they get a third member here? Does Harley get a victory over Deonna? There are a couple ways they could play this.
Penelope Ford should come out and join the Vendetta. Just drop the Megan Bayne story. Let's do it.
I still like it. Kind of baby faces Mercedes Moné, and that's the part that I don't like of my pitch that I was about to give. But the Vendetta gets a third. They team up on Harley, and then Mercedes just kind of helps Harley and getting that mutual respect, because I still want the pairing of Mercedes and Harley to be a thing. In this particular instance, it baby faces Mercedes, but you can always flip that back around to healing her of she's still kind of a jerk and, the CEO, but she sees something in Harley. She just wants to see her in her vision. She needs Harley's soul.
Oh yes, that's right. The puppet has the soul of Harley Cameron instead. It's a Harley Cameron puppet, and it has her soul.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what it should be. Fargoff saying Camille should join the Vendetta, and he adds JK, but like honestly, it's something that they could do. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it gives Camille something to do. I think they already have the Taya is supposed to be like the muscle of the group, even though she keeps losing. Like, I don't know if Camille becomes the muscle when I don't know. I was always under the impression that this group is to be in service of Deonna Purrazzo,
Well,
but there isn't much service going on, and like I wouldn't be surprised if she lost on Dynamite, considering Charlie Cameron and they're trying to do something with her. If they just bring her back and then have her start losing again, that feels a little underserviced. But then it also gives credence to this whole thing that you just laid out. Was if she keeps losing, someone's gonna have to be like, "You had a great match. You could do better." Blah blah blah. Let me take you under my wing, and you'll be better. So like you can go either way, but I really just think Harley's gonna beat Deonna, and we're gonna move on with Harley Cameron being a popular babyface character in AEW, which is fine. It's just what's going on with the Vendetta. That's my feeling.
I don't think they have major plans for the Vendetta.
No, neither do I.
Maybe the third person, whoever the new person is, will prove that to be wrong, and the new person who comes in will lead to more substantial TV time and lead to something bigger for them. But thus far, I feel like they were introduced like 6 months ago, and their biggest accomplishment is Taya losing to Harley Cameron.
That's honest and that's true. But yeah, maybe it's Britt Baker joining the Vendetta, or maybe it's Britt Baker taking Harley Cameron under her wing. Stranger things have happened. I don't know. We're gonna find out on Wednesday. But I was curious about that because again, going out of Dynamite, people were wondering why no Harley Cameron, and that was the answer. Was that they taped Collision afterwards, and Harley was on the show. Same thing with Toni Storm and Mariah May and their follow up. Thought this was a really, really solid start to Collision. This was what I want to end on. Was what they started with. This was really solid stuff with Toni Storm getting beat down by Mariah May. Mariah May being a little unhinged herself. Not being the glamour, but still being a little glamorous, but disheveled. The presentation was right, and the challenge was made and accepted. It's going to be the Hollywood ending at Revolution for the AEW Women's World Championship. They'll do third time, Mariah May, Toni Storm. Don't know what this match is. It could just be branding, or it could be something. It's nothing. It's what it is. It's a variety show. It's The Rock coming out and saying, not every match needs to build, or not every build needs to end with a match. It's a song.
It's acting, Joel. They're going to act. And then the fans are going to vote. Or they're going to have an academy. They're going to have an academy who decides who should win the AEW Women's Championship based on their performance in this acting role. It's going to be a variety of things. They're going to have to do a monologue to see if they can carry a monologue. They're going to have a scene with somebody else. They're going to have a playful scene. They're going to have to get some passion in there as well. Toni Storm has talked about all her ex-lovers and how big Stan Hansen's lariat is and her giant package. So you're going to have some romantic scene in there as well. And there's going to be some dancing on top of all of this. Dancing. They're going to dance to Glamorous by Fergie. So they're going to come up with a whole routine to Glamorous by Fergie. Flossy Flossy. And the winner will be voted on by the Academy. Who is the AEW Women's Champion?
Who's the Academy?
No one really knows, right? That's just what they say. Like they thank the Academy. It's like, oh, thank you to the Academy. They're not real people.
Pretty sure the Academy of Arts and Sciences are actual people.
I don't think so.
I mean, I'm going to go to Oscars.org and I'm going to look up the Oscars and see who's on this thing, and I'm sure I'll be able to.
So let's create the Academy here. Let's create the Academy. It can't be Luther; he's too biased. We can't put
can't put
Luther.
Him. No.
Bryan Danielson.
Okay, yeah.
Bryan Danielson's part of this. Okay.
Yeah.
I think RJ is too biased. Oh, I don't think RJ can be part.
Cannot
of
do
the
that. No.
academy. Yeah.
Do you have what's his face? Oh my god, bald tattoo, Christopher Daniels.
Oh, Christopher Daniels.
Had to think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Jerry Lynn is on every academy ever.
Jerry Lynn. Yeah.
Paul
He's
White should show up.
Paul White. Yeah.
I like the Rizzler. You want to have a little bit of pizzazz.
Kevin Smith, because he's allegedly an actor and he's been in AEW before. I don't feel like he's biased towards any side. Taz, okay.
Oh, acting Jones over here.
Is Taz biased though? I feel like Taz and Mariah got some heat.
I mean,
they at the commentary table there was some tension there. Well, Taz might be holding that against her.
Okay.
That's why I can't go with Nigel, because Nigel is too on Mariah's side. Tony's a wild card. I don't know about Tony. No, can't do Nigel. Sorry, Paul Jarrett finisher. He's too much on the Mariah's side.
So currently, the Academy of Arts and Sciences has a president, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vice presidents, and a CEO.
Okay.
The CEO is Bill Kramer. Don't ask me what his deal is. I don't know.
Oh, Mercedes can be the CEO. She's already the CEO.
She is
so
the CEO.
She should be part of this panel. You know, I don't feel like there's any bias towards her. She hasn't worked with any of these women.
The actors branch of governors include Marley Matlin, Lou Diamond Phillips, and Rita Wilson. That is a very strange trio of actors.
All right.
Amazing. And then there's a music branch, a producer's branch, short.
Oh, we need a musical branch. Chris Jericho, most successful musician in all of wrestling. Chris Jericho can be part.
Butcher.
Yeah, he's not as successful as Chris Jericho.
What are you talking about? You leave every time I die out of this.
I'm just stating facts.
No, stop it. Brody King.
No, okay. He's still not as successful as Chris Jericho.
You suck.
Just not.
Mikey Ruckus gets to come out and make his appearance for this thing.
Max Caster.
What's wrong with you?
He's doing good work on television. I can't lie.
He actually is. It's not bad. I mean, he's getting squashed, so people are all about it.
Yeah. Is there a good dancer in AEW? Anybody with like a really good dance background? Because they got to dance to Fergie's Glamorous.
Yeah, Harley Cameron.
Oh, Harley might be a little biased. I don't know about that.
Red Velvet. She does the stir it up.
That's not really a dance. That's a James Harden celebration.
Fair.
Billy Gunn. Oh yeah, Billy Gunn's got to be on the committee.
No, because then he's gonna make himself the World Women's Champion.
Yeah, Billy Gunn, he's there.
Someone saying Mina Shirakawa.
Nah, Mina's definitely Mina. Too much history there. Too much history with both of them.
Daniel Garcia, he's the dancer.
Daniel Garcia will work. Okay, Daniel Garcia will work. Well, there, we've now put together our academy, and they will vote on who should be the AEW Women's Champion after they do an acting montage. What about
Dustin? What does Dustin get? Because he's involved in all this.
Yeah, a little too biased. I think Dustin is biased here.
Jeff Jarrett's a great dancer.
Okay,
I'm
all for adding Jeff Jarrett to this group.
Yeah.
He's
SB3 adding Prince Nana.
Okay.
Prince
Nana's a little sad. Prince Nana's a little sad.
What? We all have emotions.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of this being Shane McMahon's cameo.
Well, that would actually rule. Of like, Shane, here's what we're gonna bring you in for. So we're doing this Hollywood ending between Mariah May and Toni Storm. Just like, oh, you want me to like be the referee? Something? You want me to coordinate some? You want me to do a cool stunt? You want me to be in one of the scenes with them? We need you to be one of 20 judges for this thing, Shane. Just cast your vote. That's it. That's all we need you to do. Just cast your vote. We'll pan to you quickly. Here's Shane McMahon. And then we pan. Here's Bryan Danielson. And then we pan. Here's the Rizzler. And we pan. Here's Kevin. Like that. That's all we need you for. Shane's like, oh, okay. All right. That's it.
I think it'd be very funny if Shane's like, oh, you want me to be the referee? Well, like Well, kind of, but like, hear me out. Then they give the spiel. Oh my goodness! But yeah, I thought that the Mariah May Toni Storm segment did its job very well, and definitely gets people invested in the match that's coming up at Revolution, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, which is kind of wild to think about.
Too much
Shows-
wrestling.
Well, you got Elimination Chamber this week, and then the following week it's Revolution, and the week after that, what's after that? Oh, it's TNA. The week after that, it's Sacrifice.
That doesn't matter.
It's a Friday night show. I don't even know if we're gonna.
Is it? Oh my gosh!
It's special, so it's a Friday night show. I don't even know
I
if we're
don't
gonna
like
do
their
that.
Friday night shows. Actually, I don't dislike their Friday night shows as much now, especially SmackDown's 3 hours, because like, well, I gotta watch this show, so at least this show is also on. You know, I don't like when they want to run it just on its own and there's nothing else to do. Just stop. Just that's my plea to wrestling companies. Stop. That's all.
They ain't gonna stop. I'm sorry.
This weekend was so nice. There's just nothing really going on. So nice.
That's the one thing about having spent my Sunday at a wrestling show. I was like, man, I could have hung out at home. I listen again. Shout out to Northern Crown. I had a really great time. Part of me was like, I could have just hung out at home and not done wrestling stuff. But damn it, Jeremy, I love it when we do wrestling stuff sometimes. So someone asking why do they do Friday? Oh, it was SB3 asking why do they do Friday night specials? I feel like it's just because it all leads into their TV tapings. That's all it is. They do the specials as like this is live wrestling. This is going to be live, so you're going to pay to see the ticket, and then the next night we'll either do a 2-for-1 special where you get in, or they'll get you to come to the TV the next night because you want to see the fallout from everything you just watched. It's their marketing technique for this. Whether it works, I mean, they've been getting pretty good houses at TNA, so can't really fault them for that. But yeah, they do Fridays because it's Friday night. What else are you going to do in your city? Go have a life? We don't count. We don't count. We watch it because it's our job. There are millions of people out there who don't have this as their job and therefore just go to the shows, and they do well with that stuff.
TNA tells you if you can only come to this show if you come to this show, but you can't chant certain things.
That's right.
But if you do chant,
your mouth.
we will make sure to put you on television.
Will they ever? But yeah, so Sacrifice is the 14th. That's the Friday. That's a big main event match that has no implications on anything. So I don't know.
What is
the post show?
Oh.
I don't know. It's out there, but it's not announced.
No spoilers.
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll talk about it by Friday if we want to, because it should be announced by Friday. But anyway, Raw tonight. Should we talk about that?
No.
Unless The Rock's going to show up and blow everything up at the last minute.
I hope so. That would rule.
It would be great.
I hope like Punk and Logan and Seth are all in the ring. Just if you smell. Where are they at tonight? They're in Ohio. It was like a famous Ohio band. I don't know.
Is there a famous Ohio band?
Probably
famous bands from Cincinnati specifically.
Nah,
The Isley Brothers. He just comes out to shout. Says, if you smell it, you make me want to shout. Throw your hand.
That would actually rule. That would be fantastic. I'd respect that.
There's no one else that like jumps out. Foxy Shazam, shout out to them. They're great. But nobody knows who they are. Like no mainstream don't really know who they are.
It's if you smell, and then like an MGK song plays. I don't know if he's from Cincy. He's from Ohio though. Might be from Cleveland. So
Yeah, Black Belt Bride or the national song. This all sucks.
Anyway, The Rock comes out as they're all doing their promo, and he just calls them SARS faces. And dude, that rolled in the middle of his promo. Like, Cody, I want you to shut your mouth before I slap the SARS off your face.
But he's done this shit before. He always does is shut your mouth before The Rock comes and slaps the herpes off your face. And it's just like he did it again. He's just using a different,
Yeah, but it's hilarious.
SARS.
It's funny.
Stupid. It's the way that he's baby
Shackles.
facing and healing himself throughout the call.
Nah,
That's the way where you're just like, what are we doing?
he's the final boss, brother. It doesn't matter.
Jesus Christ. Awful. Oh man. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Logan Paul are going to be on the show, like you said. Rhea Ripley delivers a message to Io Sky, presumably from Australia.
I hope she sends her a bottle. Like Io's got this bottle, and she's like, "What's in this bottle? Ah, there's a message in this bottle." And she has to open it up, and it's like, "Dearest Io, I have been on a voyage in Australia with me mates. It's just one mate. With me mates, buddy, with me buddy mates.
With me buddy mates.
I hope you are doing well on your WWE adventures. I will see you next week. I hope you come prepared for the battle. Because remember, mommy is always on top. Signed, Rhea." And Neo was like, "Okay." And that's it.
Yes, here is a photo of me with a koala. For some reason, I just need Rhea Ripley holding a koala. Such a stupid delivers a message. Gunther is going to
There's a
speak.
message in a bottle.
It's true. Gunther is going to speak woof woof. I'm sure he's going to come out, make more allusions to dogs.
Bro, I hope he continues to just bury Jey Uso. It's like, I don't want to fight this man. Stop it.
He should be the one who delivers a message to Jey Uso. But if it's him in like a beautiful, you know, that stupid AI photo that he posted with him and the dog, and he's holding a book.
Oh, yeah.
They should do like the fire's crackling in the background. He's sitting on a plush leather chair. The dog is at his side, and he delivers a message to Jey Uso about how much better he is than Jey Uso, and that Jey Uso is real street trash, whatever he's going to call him. But that should be the message. And he's got those dogs. So many dogs around him in this beautiful library-esque room with the crackling fire in the background. Be perfect.
No. Gunther should do some like street comedy. He should go into the crowd with a microphone and be like, "Do you want to see me face Jey Uso at WrestleMania?" And the fans like, "Yeah, yeet." And he's like, "You need to yeet this deodorant, buddy. That's what you need." So he hands him deodorant. And he goes to the next person. "Do you want to see me face Jey Uso at WrestleMania?" "Yeah." And then he just slaps him. He just gives him a big old backhand slap. He's like, "This is what I think of people who want to see me face Jey Uso at WrestleMania. And if anybody else wants to see me face Jey Uso at WrestleMania, go ahead and make your opinion known. And I'll slap the shit out of all of you." And then he just lines up all these people. He gives them deodorant and a nice backhand slap. Get on your way.
I'd rather he do Billy on the street and just yell out to people, "For a dollar, name a member of the bloodline."
They'll get a gift bag of a deodorant and a slap. Thanks for attending Raw.
We're already booking a better Raw than they have. New Day take on the LWO, Walking Wild and Cruz del Toro. I'm sure that'll be a match. Penta, Ludwig Kaiser, and Pete Dunne have a triple threat or a three-way match. Is this the return of someone?
Who's it going to be the return of?
Return of Tyler Bates?
Shame. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Tyler Bates a good guy, I guess.
I guess. Everyone hates one Mexican. It's just 3 Europeans and one Mexican. It is triple threat. Why are these three men beating down this one new Mexican superstar? They're trying to make the next Rey Mysterio, but it's these three guys just beating up Penta.
No, I don't think there's gonna be a return here.
All right.
I don't like your symbolism here, Joel.
There's no symbolism. It's just
all right. I don't like
it's just what I'm seeing out here.
I don't like what you're going for here. I'm checking the AEW roster to see if Rey Fenix is still on the roster. He still is, so I would not expect Rey Fenix tonight.
I'm sure people would have already reported on it if he was gone.
Well, you never know. I might have just been checking at the right time.
That's true. The Intercontinental Women's Championship is on the line. Lyra Valkyria defends against
these losers.
The report about the women being frustrated, like it shouldn't be so damn obvious. It shouldn't be so damn obvious because the way that they're booked, the tag titles, the Intercontinental, the U.S. Championship. Like they're doing this thing with Chelsea where like show up next week and y'all gonna have a match for the U.S. Championship. It's like you're gonna give her
Why is
BFAB
Nick
and-
Aldis Australian?
It's just because Rhea.
If she faces Michin,
It's gonna be Michin
I
and BFAB.
swear.
You know it's gonna be a triple threat. It's gonna be Michin and BFAB, and she's gonna sneak out the win somehow.
If she faces Michin, I swear.
There are no Canadian. Natty is the only person
Hell yeah.
that I would put in this match because they're in Toronto, because they're in Canada, and like I can't think of any other like women legends from WWE in Canada, like or like the Canadian female legends. I can't think of anyone else. And Natty's the only one that works. Trish has got the tag match, so for her to come in and just do that, it would be a little disjointed. Ariana Grace would be hilarious.
Who is a Canadian woman?
I mean, chat, I get it. Trish is there, but Trish is working the next night at the Elimination Chamber.
What
It'd
about
be very weird for her to win the U.S. Championship and then do that.
what about Gail Kim?
I'm all about it.
Okay. Gail
Okay. New Intercontinental Champion or what do you
No.
think? No,
No.
she's gonna beat Dakota.
Yeah, she's gonna beat Dakota, and then they'll have a third match because sure, why not?
Yeah,
Maurice would be cool. I'd like to see Maurice.
yeah, Marissa.
I don't
She's
know if
Quebecois, but
Maurice-
she's more LA than Quebec at this point.
That's fine.
And for the women's tag titles, as we mentioned, Bianca Belair and Naomi defend against Liv and Raquel. I think this is going to be new champ territory as we start the
Okay.
Jade story build. Because
Yeah.
some people, not everyone, some people have pointed out the whole, Bianca saying like, "Oh, we've been texting her, but she's not calling us back or whatever." Like or was that they hadn't reached out to her? It was some weird thing that she said that was a bit disjointed, and people picked that up as like, this is clearly they're lying about it.
It's clearly that this thing had been going on for 4 months and they tried to just cover of why they hadn't mentioned it in those 4 months. And so they had to make something up. I wouldn't read too much into that at all. I could see new champs here. Maybe Dominic gets involved because he has to help Judgment Day and he needs to get back into Liv's good graces. And then at some point, Jade Cargill will return.
Trying to find if there's anything. I'm trying to find the breakdown of this whole thing. But anyway, so that's the women's tag titles. There you go. That's Raw. That's what's on the docket. Pretty full episode of Raw for 2.5 hours, and the Elimination Chamber is this weekend. So there you go.
All right.
Anything else we need to touch on before we get on out of here?
So Sean Ross Sapp just tweeted this. Sami Zayn tells me that he remains private about the details of his WWE contract, but he has a good thing going in WWE and doesn't see himself going anywhere. Some extra details from Fightful Select that mentions Zayn signed a multi-year deal in 2022. So, there you go.
There you go.
So, a little bit of news there.
Looking forward to that conversation. So
Kevin Owens was outside that man's house on Friday.
yeah, I mean, I like the idea that they had dinner before, and then Kevin was like, "Oh, go do the dishes. I gotta go do a thing," and then he just goes to his car and does this promo, and make sure you guys are doing the dishes. The two of you, not you. You stay. Like, he turns to his wife and says, "Stay there. Don't. I know you want to help with the dishes. Don't help with the dishes. Stay there." And he goes out and cuts this promo. It was good though. They're gonna get deep. I like it. They've had so much history. So Sammy and KO, it'll be fun. Then they'll have a nice lobster dinner.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Good news from Sean. It'll make some people feel a certain way, but it's good that Sammy's happy. At least he says he's happy. See what happens next. Sammy does need a ring camera. Maybe WWE can give him some money so he can buy a ring camera.
Yeah.
But then again, this is the same company that wouldn't buy a damn microphone for what's her face when she was doing the bump. Come on, damn it.
Oh, the same company that couldn't get the loading dock footage for 4 months.
Where's the loading dock footage? The most camera-filled area. Thinking about Kayla Braxton, by the way. She hosted the bump.
Right.
Go watch the side cast of WWE Raw tonight on Twitch. Give them some love because it's very sad. Anything else to plug?
Nope.
That's how I feel.
Okay.
I love the select report is Sami Zayn vaguely speaks on contract status.
Fair.
That rules. Okay. Go watch Raw or don't. I don't care. We're back tomorrow. SP3 and Jeremy, they're going to talk about anything and everything. Who knows what? But I'm sure you'll be here 10 a.m. Eastern. So until then, you know who I am. You know who he is. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.